Speaking of lighting innovations for energy conservation, I think India needs to introduce daylight saving time wherever possible by starting work an hour earlier. And this initiative really to take steps. Our organizations themselves can do this. Already our schools are, they begin at 7:38 itself. And in fact, today's roundtable is going to discuss many of these issues. There's a session on daylight lighting. So before I hand over to Shri Dinanath Kholkar, convener of this roundtable, I want to briefly mention about Pune International Center. So this is a policy research center working in a few areas: national security, energy, environment and climate change, social innovation, governance and urbanization issues. And we have an annual conference with Ministry of External Affairs, the Asia Economic Dialogue. So there's work going on in international relations also. This particular roundtable has been organized by our research vertical on science, technology and the innovation ecosystem in India. And our latest research vertical is on sustainable energy and mobility. PIC organizes a number of conferences and roundtables in the areas that I mentioned. And we also organize a number of book events. We publish a lot of research papers, all of which are available on our website. And I would also like to mention the books that PIC publishes. So this is our latest book on Nari Shakti. Indian women take center stage. So this is about empowerment of women in India, and a galaxy of distinguished and eminent writers from within and outside PIC have contributed to this book. Before this, we had a book on sustainable and climate resilient development for India. This has been brought out by our energy, environment and climate change research vertical. Our third book is on India's pathways to success, winning in the next decade. This has essays on the priorities that India needs to focus on as we approach the centenary of our independence. And our first book was Rising to the China Challenge, Winning Through Strategic Patience and Economic Growth. This book won an award for the best public policy book of the year. This was 3 years back. So with this, I would like to thank all of you for your presence here today, and I would like to hand over to Shri Dinanath Kholkar.
Thank you, Abhay, and again, good afternoon and welcome to all of you. Before we start, I would request Abhayji to welcome our Vice Chancellor of COEP with a small token. So I'll give a quick brief on the overall flow of this particular roundtable. So as Abhay mentioned, the discussion actually started off with Dr. Mashelkar, and he talks about this LED revolution in India many times in his public talks. He has been talking about it, and on the other side, we also have Mr. Ravi Pandit, who has been a very significant proponent of renewable energy, hydrogen and various other things. And we realized that while there is a lot of talk being done about renewable energy, as a society, we have been a very interesting society. We've always thought about how do we conserve, how do we look at efficiencies, but we are not necessarily looking at energy efficiency as a topic. And that discussion led to few explorations. We said, let's look at who are doing some work in this particular area, and that's where this discussion has been going on for the last almost 7 to 8 months. So we did meet with innovators, we did talk to industry bodies, and of course it got us connected with ISLE as well. IEEE was another one which was there, and we also met with the COEP faculty members and researchers, and we got a good feel of what is happening, and we felt that it is a good time that we get everybody together on this particular platform as a roundtable. And Saket is my co-moderator, if you may call him. So thank you, Saket, for getting all of these things organized for us. But the flow is that we decided that we will have this particular roundtable. The objective is to provide inputs from all the experts who are here. We also have some of the students of COEP who are observers in this event. The idea is to create a good enough document which can make recommendations for policy changes. And that's the role that PIC as an independent think tank can play. There is a lot of innovation which is happening. How can we fast track the adoption of innovation? There are a lot of things which probably building societies or designers can adopt, practices which they can adopt, but unless there is mandate, it will not happen. So we thought, let's take inputs. So the idea is to get those inputs based on certain group of themes that we have identified for today's roundtable. And we will create a publication out of the outputs of this roundtable. The entire roundtable is getting recorded. So in case you want to share the recording with any of your colleagues, that definitely can happen. Also, we would like to ensure that in case there are people who were missed out because they couldn't attend or they didn't have the wherewithal to join us today, we can still take their inputs in an offline mode so that the document that we will prepare will be a holistic, all-inclusive type of approach. Just to give an idea about, I chair the science, technology and innovation ecosystem vertical within PIC, and in that context, obviously Dr. Mashelkar has been the guiding force, but Dr. Kholkar has been primarily looking at all technology is fine, but we need to also ensure that we are influencing the right policy makers. So that's where we are trying to create that balance, like how do we ensure that the fast tracking of technology adoption happens. One of the first activities we took up was on the topic of water. So exactly a year back, we did a similar roundtable on the topic of water security for the Pune region. And that particular initiative has scaled up quite well with the principal scientific advisor to India, also the economic advisor to the government of India. Both of them have been supporting that initiative, and we are looking at various dimensions of economics of water, technology which is being used in various aspects of water. There are two other areas where as a science, technology, innovation ecosystem activity we have got focus on. One of them is around innovations in education itself. So that is another topic. We also had a roundtable where a lot of people talked about challenges in education and different technologies which are being used. And one area where we are looking at very seriously to shape up an agenda is around the digital public infrastructure. So I'm sure many of you are using various of the digital public infrastructure, but we felt that Pune as a city can potentially be a city to host an international conference on digital public infrastructure. We don't have something like this so far, but we have been building up the momentum towards it. So I thought I'll just give you a background that these are areas that we are focusing on. And somebody asked as to what is the driver. So Pune International Center is an independent think tank, mostly members which are contributing towards this as a volunteer. We do have support on some of the activities in form of funds that we are able to raise, to run some of these projects. So that's the way we've been running this. So I will, what I will do is before Saket, you run with the agenda, I thought it will be apt for Professor Birut to say a few words. And again, thank you for sir for coming over here and for COEP to support this as a knowledge partner. So
thank you, Dina, and the members present today for this roundtable conference. I am not an expert in this lighting area, but when Dina talked to me on this particular event, I said I would like to attend and basically understand the issues and learn from all of you. As a Vice Chancellor or as a head of an institution, we have been always talking in an institution that how do we make our institutions energy efficient. And why that is because the institutions become energy efficient, then the students from my institution, they will take a message away out of the institutions and making their workplace energy efficient, because they are going to be working on that. So unless our institutions become energy efficient, I think just talking on energy efficiency will be just on that will be a part of discussions only. And that's how in this conference my colleague friends are there, students are there, and we are expecting that as institutions we will learn out of this conference rather than contributing, but and we'll take away some message from here, and university energy efficient and sustainable, from the energy conservation point of view, a university where people can or we can lead in the domain of university which is the energy conservation with a minimum at a minimum level. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your support. I'll hand over to Saket to run the show.
Thank you, Dinanath, sir. On behalf of Indian Society of Lighting Engineers, Pune Local Center, first of all, I thank PIC for such a good initiative. I take this opportunity to introduce what is ISLE first in few words. ISLE is a professional body in the field of lighting technology with a broad base of membership. Though the name suggests it's Indian Society of Lighting Engineers, it's not only for engineers, but for scientists, architects, academicians, researchers, designers, and all those who are interested in lighting area. This association is closely associated with Bureau of Indian Standards, the Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy Sources, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and ISLE is also a member of Lux Pacifica. It is all over world, around 60% of world population comes under this ISLE. We have 7 state centers and 3 local centers. Those are currently working with. And this event is a part of Pune local center. And we have a Pune as a local center. Thank you for such a wonderful experts bouquet we have on this. Let me have something that currently if we light, when we say lighting, light is usually taken lightly. This is what is observed. Why? I'm going to claim 2-3 things for this and then we will move back. In 1885, when Edison invented the first GLS lamp, it was not for lighting, but it was for heating. So here it starts. Around 100 or more years we use that lamp for heating, not for heating but for lighting. So we can think of the efficiency and all. Then we move on for coming for fluorescent tube light, and then we talk about the 55 watts can be reduced to so many different levels of choke coils, and then when we come to the LEDs and all those things, really we somewhere come to automation. Actually the light initially it was a multidisciplinary, physics comes in, engineering comes in, say as a vision, somewhere biology and other things comes in. So it is actual multidisciplinary. Nowadays we talk about a multidisciplinary engineering facts, but actually the lighting is the one which comes at very prior level with interdisciplinary perspective. If we look at the current scenario in India, the sector-wise usage, if we check commercially, we have only 8.29% utilization of overall energy, which comes under commercial basis. In domestic level, it is 25.77%. So 26% is usually the energy used for domestic, and industrial somewhere it is very high, like 44%. But if we look what is the contribution of a light in this, so total lighting energy usage in India is 18% around. If we go for 2023 total usage, roughly 1,407 watt hour, that is units, are used for only lighting, which is a marginal, and where all of us we can work to use this very carefully. We all know that our climate clock somewhere in yesterday, if we check, it is 4 years and 218 years, which is very close by, where the entire world is rising the temperature by 1.5 degrees, and most of the things are irreversible after that. So as a contributory, we have a major role to play in, and with this conference, we thought that let us have such a topics or such a tracks which can confidently contribute to all of this. So we have selected few important tracks like intelligent lighting for smarter living. Then we have energy smart lighting design. Then we have actually horticulture and well-being and use of medical environment also. The light has a very high importance. So one track is specifically designed for healthy lights, healthy lives. And as we want the outcome of this entire conference, as we should have some pathway where we can adopt the things and we can work out with that. We are finally going for lighting for public spaces, where we are going to learn a few important things from the actual end users of this system. With this, let us start with our first track. I request. With this, we have few updated tracks also included in this, where rather than having a discussions, we are going to have the updates from the experts, and those are, we have typically lighting education is taken care of, then best practices in lighting, and also the light for public spaces and success stories. So all these updates also we are going to get in this conference with experts. So with this, I request Chairman ISLE Sudhir Patil. First we'll have this discussion on energy smart lighting design, and I request Kaustubh Nandurbarkar to please take over the charge.
Yeah, thank you very much. And first of all, it's great honor to be a part of this discussion organized by ISLE and PIC. Well, having said that, to begin with, to understand lighting and sustainable lighting in the context of design. So the topic what probably I am going to initiate today is about how a lighting design as a faculty can actually be a rudder to this course of sustainable lighting solutions or sustainable environment. Well, we all know how important now the power is to us. As Saket mentioned earlier, that 18% of our power or energy is today consumed for lighting. But the surprising fact is this is also increasing year on year by at least 9% to 8%, which is actually an anomaly, because although we plan to use a lot of LED or light, more consumptions are going way high, including the power consumption for lighting equipments as well. So what are we doing and where are we going wrong? So to set the course, I have some slides for you all. I will talk about, will set the course for the discussion further. Okay, so when we talk about the approach, as far as any sustainable growth is concerned or any sustainable design is concerned, we need to talk about how we need to approach for. So the first thing or the first important aspect which lighting design comes in the foray of designing is aesthetics, safety. Then we also now have circular economies and recycling as the objective. But prior to that, all of we have an issue of sustainability, and that's where the whole idea starts as to how we can make it more sustainable, and this becomes a priority of the design. Well, apart from that, we analyze as far as design objectives are concerned, activity needs, or say maybe environmental objectives, the biological factors, or say human factors, or efficiency. Now, when we approach any design, or when we have assignments for a lighting design, by approach itself and by the objective itself, sustainability is the part of it. We have to achieve any sustainable if we have any, if we want to achieve any sustainable lighting solution, paramount important is to have a lighting design faculty associated with it, which will by default guide this ship for its desired course. Well, having said that, we have only 3 tools with us. So we all have been debating all erstwhile. We have only 3 tools in the form of source of lights, that is lamps. We have another distribution system, that is luminaires, and then we have the orientation or the application methods of it. So all this is what the lighting design as a has as a tools to set it. Now these are some of the examples of how erstwhile a solution was given and how we could optimize it for a better, as a case study, for a better experience as well as for more sustainable lighting. This is one such example where we could reduce the consumption by another 20% and still have a better lighting solution for it. So this was the after effect of it. Then there are certain other ways in which the commercial spaces, by the means of which the spaces which are operating say 24/7, how we can manage or maneuver the lighting design solutions and optimize the power consumption, where we could achieve at the on-set design level of around 30 to 30% saving on power consumption merely by addressing the solutions from design perspective. Having said that, well, what does the solution lie in front of us? So what if essentially matters is to identify the activities, recognize the objectives, and understand the factors and assign the lamps and luminaires correctly. So this is in nutshell the solution matrix for a good lighting design. What is more important is this diagram, where how we can take this to people or public in general. Now this is more important. See, at an ISLE PLC, what I suggest is there can be a joint understanding or development of a program which maybe have been recognized by the local bodies, public organization, or the institutes, as sir mentioned it rightly. And we also have partnered with educational institutes and research institutes to evaluate, analyze, and synthesize the solution, and then rope in third partner as industrial organizations to plan for the resources, planning, and commissioning. So ISLE will be at the behest of it, planning the activities, defining the objectives for design, recognizing the other sustainable factors, and getting the more implementing the sustainable solution. Having said that, this is the end of the slideshow. I think I have opened up the topic elaborately. Now I will ask Ekta Sanghvi to take up on this subject and have her words on that, please.
Well, that's a surprise, Kaustubh, to just pass on the mic to me. So the whole, what he said is completely right. It's not just about lamp, it's not about the wattage in the lamp, but it's also the accessories that matters. So as an engineering student myself, I purely believe that it's not just the energy or the source of illumination, but how the reflectors, lenses, optics equally play a major important role in doing the conservation and making it more sustainable. Now, if we were just talking this outside about the very first thing that we spoke is that Pune city itself can save 1/3 of electricity bill by just making your street lights right. It's just said that if you need a certain amount of lamp or a certain amount of wattage, and they only do is they just make it 2 times the height of the pole and put another light of around 100 watts again. But without understanding that what is the color, what is the CRI, what is the kind of output that I'm going to get, is that 100 watt even justifiable between 2 poles? What is the lux level that you actually require? All these technical parameters are completely overlooked while designing our own street lights. As a small case study, there was a small debate that we had in Bombay while doing one public infra, where from 6000 Kelvin is what is used across. We ended up telling them to use 3000 Kelvin. We, at least I believe all of us remember here, you are going through street light which was sodium vapor. and we all had yellow lights. Life was much better back then as against 6000 Kelvin in LED. Purely because you see the light penetrates in that color much more. It becomes safer much more to be in a warmer tone as against a whiter tone. That is the same thing even in automobiles. So this is something that I would like to point forth, that we need to relook at and redefine our own ways of acceptance, or look at it from the overall perspective that is this really right what we are doing in the name of sustainability. LED does not mean lesser consumption. It just means that you need to understand that it's less, and not consider that less is more, but we should also say more is also not enough when it comes to LED.
Okay, so Ekta, according to you, what you mean by the statement is we need to redefine our standards, right? I'll take it on the note. Now I take it further to Anand Somvanshi. For Anand is part of the Anand is our friend from the manufacturing side, so I will ask him to put his views forth on this chapter of sustainable lighting solutions. Please, Anand.
Thank you, Kaustubh sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I have been into the manufacturing since past 20 years, and I have seen this phase out of CFL to LED, and it took us not more than 3 months to have completely disrupted CFL to LED. So technological changes are quite possible unless they are properly defined. What I feel like area lighting, what Ekta madam rightly said, area lighting, we can save energy, plus defining some strategies in terms of sustainability is the heart of the fixtures, that is the drivers, which are to be defined very well. There are a few functionalities which are overlooked right now in cases of NEMA sockets, that is sensitivity, occupancy sensors, and EMI AMC compliances, which are completely ignored nowadays, and people keep on replacing these fixtures because these factors are not present in the current fixtures. So while defining these fixtures, we can definitely look at complying with all these factors of sustainability in terms of NEMA sockets, occupancy sensors, and EMI AMC compliances. I think that will be all.
So Anand, according to you, what as a manufacturer you are looking for some such standards which could define your product development in order to make it more sustainable. Okay, fair enough. Now with this point, I will go to architect Namrata Damankar for her views on the sustainable lighting solutions and its applications in the spaces, architectural spaces. Please go to you.
Hello. Yes, thank you so much, Kaustubh. I think have a little different take because I being an architect, and I think this question, since it has been pointed at me, I think what I would rather begin is by, before even talking about artificial lighting, I think as designers, the first thing is to highlight the use of daylight. I think should be an essence, should be a starting point for all designers, that daylight should not be, or artificial lighting rather should synchronize with daylight, right, and not be an alternative or like I said, the first option. So I think if we try and incorporate, because today I think 80% of our buildings, except for very highly specialized 24 hours operated buildings like hospitals, airports, hospitality sector, majority of our buildings are daytime operating buildings, right? So you're anyways sort of reducing the dependence itself on the need for artificial lighting, and then we can move on to sort of energy efficiency in the lighting sector. So I think the first and foremost point is that even if you are able to, and there are studies, there are buildings, there are projects which have shown that, for example, Infosys campus, Infosys, all their buildings have such amazing daylight that they really emphasize it. So all their projects have minimum of sort of 80 to 95% of their spaces are all daylit. So all their workstation areas are all daylit. You see so today there are very conscious decisions, I think, being taken right at an architectural planning level to actually incorporate daylight, because again, relating into the area, I think, which will come up later in the day today, where we are talking about health and well-being, right? Because again, we are talking about occupants' comfort, and if occupants are comfortable in a space which is daylight, again, there is enough of research to prove that people definitely prefer daylight spaces to artificially lit spaces. So I think daylight is something that needs to be taken care of first.
Well, Namrata, just for your, information, actually, when we talk about any lighting design practice, we do consider a daylight mapping. That's a part of the design objectives by default itself. So when we say that there is an approach towards design. So practically, lighting is lighting. It may come through any of the
Right.
source. But largely for most of our spaces today, the way we are planning, daylight is a paramount concern for us, and we have been incorporating it, mapping. There is a specific, simulations, daylight modeling is done for the buildings, and the base of which we integrate it with some controls and sensors to the luminaires, which operate it once and programmed as per the availability of the the intensity of the light inside as well as outside of the building. So that's more of that by default is a part of a more sustainable practice of lighting. Of course, Sudhir will elaborate more on the part on the controls and sensors. Now, having said that, with this, I go to Shri S.D. Rane for his views on the luminaires and the way we can incorporate them for our sustainable growth. Sir, please.
Thank you. Just I heard the various comments from the experts. So from the architectural points, it is naturally required that we should use the maximum daylights. That should be the best object. And for the luminaires and other things, various innovations are in progress, that is true. But I feel that various standards are being there by the Bureau of Indian Standards on the luminaires as well as the code of practices for the lighting as well as the installations. If we try to implement those things, I think we can go for the better way. And if it is required to change or modify those requirements with the current innovations, it can be. And those feedbacks may be required from either with this PIC or from the other organizations or the manufacturers. Various things, what I heard that there should be some modification in the standards. But modification in the standards is possible only when there is some sound feedback as well as the sound modification in the innovations. Those things are required. I feel that we should think of that. And secondly, whatever these standards have been prepared by the BIS, many of people you may be aware, but I think it is not been implemented in better way. So I feel from the PIC side or otherwise, we should go with that. We can go with this ministry or we can go with the local bodies to try to implement those things so that we can process with the saving the lighting as well as energy. I feel the same thing. Thank you.
Okay, having heard all the views, I put forth this question and this session open to all other members who want to contribute their words or their ideas on this subject, as well as the important subject which my last slide reads, how we all together can have a collaborative practice on making it more sustainable. So my slides are open on the screens for all of you to comment or contribute. Everybody from different sectors are available. I may please welcome, I think this is an open round, so it can be from anybody who wishes to contribute on this particular subject. They may please raise up their hand and take the discussion forward. Thank you.
Maybe slight digression, but I feel that point which she had raised about 3000 degree Kelvin is very valid, not only just for the building lighting, but also for the automotive headlights. I find the 6K glare is colossal, and with especially two-wheelers, the beam comes straight into your eye, and it is very distracting. It's really disability gear. It's not discomfort, it's disability. So I think we should take some steps to implement change of color temperature for the headlights. And I may add that I am past president of ISLE. For 4 years I was president of ISLE, and I also president of ALCOMA, which is Electric Lamps and Component Manufacturers Association. So and also I would like to add that the light source industry in India has been demolished, because there is not a single light source manufactured in India now, because it's all imported. And people who were manufacturing lamps are really in very bad shape. Fortunately, we started making ultraviolet and infrared lamp and we sort of survived. But the entire light source industry, this is another digression, but this is a fact. There are tens of thousands of industry which just collapsed. In mid and like 2005, 2010, capacity was 10 million, 100 million CFL per year. All gone. There are 60 units manufacturing them. It's all gone. So, and I'm not asking for sympathy, but I thought I'll just add to the general knowledge of the people. But believe me, LED is a fantastic as far as the consumer is concerned and particular designers are concerned. When you have point source of light, you can control the light beautifully. But when you have fluorescent lamp, 4 feet long, it's difficult to control the beam. So that way, consumers are benefiting. Of course, the efficiency is phenomenal, and so it's a really boom to the designers and to the consumers. And this is an opportunity. I don't know whether there should be some education. How do we design with this new light source? Because people were designing with all they needed was a tube light and lamps, bulbs. But now it's completely different ball game. So I think some people like Nandu Barkar should take some initiative of really creating some kind of lighting education. So how to design this? Yeah.
So just to answer your question, my solution is right in front of you. When we say ISLE will mentor this, solution, I seriously mean it. We had done some brainstorming sessions within the ISLE a few weeks ago, and we are proposing this to all the industrial partners and the organization. Come forward with your requests and come forward with your requirements. We will be able to help you. Just for your information, a few years ago, pre-COVID, we did one assignment that was for a heritage building of Pune Club, where we did the lighting audit for the space. Now that was the first initiative at that point of time. The idea was to understand where the problem is in first place. Now, up till now, there was no such exercise done for any of these buildings. It's a recreational club. Along with that, it has got some other heritage value as well. Now, while we were doing that, we enrolled a couple of students from the 3rd year and 4th year batch of architecture as well as the engineering college. And that was a program designed for 3.5 months, where these students worked along with our team, the professional teams, and they kind of created a document, which is a report which was submitted then to the club to take it up further, based on which they put it up to their board and took an approval for revamping the whole lighting solution. So from our end, we are trying our best to get these kind of exercises or these kind of programs run through. So see, as far as lighting design is concerned, in a way that's still I will not say a new field anymore, but it's still not as popular as it should be. There are few multiple challenges of it. Of course, one of the challenges, the one formal design or I would say one formal educational program, we do lack that. We need to have one formal program on that. Unless we have programs, we won't have lighting designers or engineers, or else we will have to keep training them, as myself and Ekta we keep doing for.
Also, I want to add something. So from ISLE part, actually this initiative is already taken only at a Pune local center. With our mentors, we already have a student chapters forms at architecture colleges as well as so many engineering colleges. And now the good thing is that it is a compulsory internship and all those things are mandatory for all the students. Now the session is open with all end users as well as manufacturers as well as all OEMs, that this opportunity is with you, that you can learn these, train these students, and those will be directly in line with what we are thinking of. Thank you.
I'd like to add one point, since you mentioned about policy, and what actually happens is with policy we require a lot of data to be supported. So as part of various things that you are doing, either projects or even prototypes and things like that, whatever data is getting collected, if ISLE can take the responsibility of creating open data sources which can be contributed and as well as enhanced by practitioners, it will play a significant role, and we can have a focused discussion around this particular topic. See, earlier policy making used to take a very long time because data collection itself used to be very cumbersome process. with the advent of digital and with all of these sensors having ability to generate that data in a digital form, you can actually fast track that policy recommendation process because you have data in a significant manner. So I just thought I will table this important point. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd also like to add one more thing, that energy is one thing, light is another. So please make sure this distinction is maintained, because even if light is energy, but light is not only energy. It also involves a lot of physics to make it more efficient. Yeah. Another point that I would like to add here is that every field, when it comes into construction, whether you talk about fire, whether you talk about, again, electrical, you have auditors. So you might have energy auditors, but there is no lighting auditors. Yeah, so there is nobody who says that, okay, this is the way it has to be implemented. So lighting auditors with related to implementation, once it's done, needs to be done for not only for the well-being of the person who's using that space, but it's also for the public at large.
Kaustup, you can wrap up.
I will just again once request if anybody has any other points to make on this subject particular or any suggestions further to take it. Yes, please.
Yeah, just a point I want to add is from the industry side, I find that there is a huge requirement for a proper industry regulation, which is an ancient one. I believe 72 one is still being followed. And you take the growth of industries, I can talk about a really large heavy industry. Now take a typical case, we have for example buildings which are 40 meters tall and all that, workshops. The old thing used to be to have lighting right on top, and then you have more and more powerful lighting to make sure that enough light is available for safe work. But nobody has questioned this, that why should you have lighting at such a height when you can have lower lights with, of course, emitting less heat than before. So the entire industrial scene offers a huge landscape. I believe 50% of the total industrial consumption is lighting, and that is something which needs a lot of attention.
Just one suggestion. Most of the lighting experts are here. So I'm working in energy conservation. So lighting is the first thing which we attack normally for energy conservation. But I just wanted to know if there are any regulations available per square feet or per square meter of lighting, depending on luminous, and also for the activities. If it is only reading an office, or is there any particular work in the factory? Is there any lighting per square feet available regulation so that we can actually target the industries according to that? Because normally lighting is the first low-hanging fruit, and we said, okay, change the CFL to LED, and that's it. And then we concentrate more on supply-demand side, where the chilling load and heating load, we concentrate more for giving them the solution, or going for solar or going for green energy. But for lighting, if there is an area which is available, and if you can go to more deeper, rather than having more lighting available or less lighting available, we have particular accurate or optimum lighting available, whether we have that reference document somewhere.
Sir, lux levels are definitely available. You can look at those when you are designing with light. It's not the question of how much wattage you consume, it's about how much lux level you receive from that. So some might be completely inefficient, like what some of our street lights are. So there you don't, there the amount of lux level expected, or rather it is there, is way too lesser when it comes to 100 watts of consumption, and I'm getting only about 20 lux levels, is completely absurd. So that is where you need to understand that the efficiency lies in your output, and then you reduce your consumption. So even if you're getting a 9 watt, which is 9 watt or a 10 watt fixture, the output of that, or the lux levels what you receive on a particular surface, is what matters.
Okay, having said that, I will just add one more point and then summarize it. Sir, what has happened, as with respect to lighting, there are two factors. One is the quantitative aspect of lighting, which we talk about the lumens per watt, or say maybe the intensity of the light generated in the form of say maybe lux level. This is the quantitative aspect of light. There is one more important aspect, which are the qualitative aspects of light, which talks about the color temperatures of it, the CRIs of it. So the amount of light is important, but more than important is the quality factors of the light, which are also, you are right in that sense, none of the standards do mention about the quality aspects. They do mention only about the quantitative aspects of the lighting. And yes, as a society, we need to develop the standards for the qualitative aspects. Largely there we will also talk about the 3000 Kelvin and 6000 Kelvin being, the standards of it being defining. Right now that is missing because lighting has not been dealt from the qualitative perspective. So as we said earlier, that this is a cross subject cross faculty subject. There is an art involved, there is a science involved. So we need to strike a balance between that and develop both the standards for it.
Perfect.
Now, importantly, to summarize this session, we have main point which is repeated by most of the people is we need to adapt to some standards, and industrial standards is required. Second thing important is the usage of daylighting, well, as the part of standards that can also be defined, and defining particularly the sustainability factors or the standards required for the sustainable lighting environment, that needs to be developed for the future course of applications. This is what the takeaway from this session is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kaustubh. Thank you, all participants. Now we all discuss about we need color rendering index, we need what kind of quality, then lumen, lux, all those things. But how? And this how has to be addressed very well. So our next session is related to intelligent lighting for smarter living, leveraging smart controls, IoT, automation, and energy efficiency. So I request our ISME Chairman Sudhir Patil to take over next session.
Happy afternoon. Before my slides are coming up, let me take this opportunity to thanks once again to PIC for taking this important subject at this forum. So it's my pleasure to chair this discussion on such important topic, specifically that combines technology, energy efficiency and sustainability. And that is obviously leveraging the technologies which we have at our disposal, specifically IoT, controls and automation. So as we know, right, lighting is key part of our lives today. Literally, I won't be exaggerating if I say that we cannot really live without light. And I do remember Dr. Prakash sir always refer this, that nowadays we have this device in our hand, right? And the moment we say mobile, the first thing comes up with a light. So in that context, light really plays that magic in our life. Light really, how do we really experience this beautiful world, which is not really possible without light? And I'm sure in earlier session, we discussed about how and what design can play a major role in this case. So let's take this little forward, because this is very important for all of us to deliberate on this very important topic of controls, automation and IoT, specifically when we know that lighting today is serving us very specific, basic purpose, I would say, and that is illumination. But what next? Because at what cost? There has been references in earlier discussion that it often comes at a extensive energy usage. And if I may throw some numbers, right? And in fact, that also came in earlier conversation, that the traditional or lighting accounts today almost 15 to 20% of total electricity used in any commercial or industrial sector. And I won't be wrong if I even take it to almost 25 to 30 for certain manufacturing industries. At the same time, these are energy intensive facilities like warehouses, etc. And more importantly, the traditional lighting system today lack the dynamism of adaptability. And that's what I thought, that I think this is very important topic which we all must gather and elaborate or maybe deliberate. And that's the reason I'm raising this question: why should we really focus on smart controls, IoT and automation? Now at the same time, let me also bring another perspective of it, as I personally believe that it has got a transformative potential. And when I'm saying transformative, let me give an example. we have been contemplating, and I think we have already proven it. There also was a reference of initial revolution of LEDs, right? How the penetration increased from maybe 7 or single digit to 88% in terms of LED. But what next? Obviously, LEDs are helping us to become energy efficient because it is by default reduce the energy load. But what are the next opportunities? And with the advent of flexibility LED brings on, I think there are tremendous. That is also one of the point I would like to really highlight and make open for the discussion. But at the same time, in Marathi we say, right, कळतं पण वळत नाही. In same context, I think it is proven that automation control can really play a major role. But the question that, what are the barriers? Why we still don't see the adoption at a higher scale? That is one of the question is here for all of us today, right? So these are the focus areas would help us, right? One is barriers to adoption. Second, what are potential solutions to cross or maybe to address these barriers? And more importantly, when we are talking about the savings, impact definitely matters, right? So what is the potential of scalability and impact at the larger facilities? So these are some of the pointers I thought that I can bring it here so that we all can deliberate on that. And while I do that, I thought that rather than just moving or maybe walking you through some concepts, let me also throw some numbers. Right, and you see on this different screens, right? These are actual numbers what really a intelligent lighting controls has played on. This is taken from a implementation done at one of the Hosur plant. It's a manufacturing plant. Look at the number. It says 252 number of luminaires, 110 watt each. I'm not even comparing the metal halide. That was the earlier scenario. I'm still talking about the LEDs. Right, where you have consumption of almost 332 kilowatt hour per day, which was reduced to 166 kilowatt per hour just by using intelligent lighting controls. And of course, there are many other benefits which will open up. That could be in terms of monitoring, controls, analytics, right? So whole idea is that how can we really make our future sustainable in a context of light? So with this, let me open this forum with some of the questions, right? Specifically, let me bring in this to Chintamani Kelkar sir. I was having a informal chat before we started this conversation. He comes with a vast experience working for large corporations. So sir, if you'd like to open this discussion in a context of controls automation with your experience.
Good afternoon. Well, I have gone through transformation from incandescent to LED in last 20-25 years almost. I am electrical engineer. And the point is well taken. 2005 somewhere we had been using Honeywell automation for Aditya Birla Hospital. We had used, and I can tell you overall automation was resulting into rupees 10,000 per day savings, rupees 10,000 per day, that time 2005 somewhere. So if we take lighting as 12% or 10% in a commercial activity, it was around 1200 per day, which is phenomenal. Second thing is, it was shown earlier everybody was against automation in totality, but it was convinced because the group was energy conscious, rather say. Coming to the point of automation, I have observed that particularly in large places where we can say storage places where 3 lakh square feet, 4 lakh square feet storage places, this is a wonderful solution. We should compulsorily go for lighting which is occupancy based lighting system where somebody gets in and the lighting starts automatically. So there are various advantages and huge advantages in case of energy savings, as well the saving of the life of the light also, because if you put off the light you are saving the light total life cycle. So by all means, and third thing, this is important from a different point of view. the client itself must be convinced that this has to be taken. This is a great responsibility of all of us to really convince the client, because he is going to put money, a little additional, not a big amount as such. But if at all we are in a position to convince the client that this is going to be phenomenal in your savings of the energy, savings of your revenue, savings of the light, everything. So I am of the opinion, in totality, this must be driven by all of us. We are all responsible for that. I have seen tremendous results during my tenure with Reliance Industries and Aditya Birla Group, and this is fantastic. So this must be done by us in a very persuasion way, rather say. Thank you.
So, thank you, for bringing the real life experience in terms of the savings, right? But having said that, I think, as I said earlier, in the same context, we know there are benefits, but let me take your attention to the barriers. So let me invite Nitesh now with his experience in working in IoT and controls. Nitesh, in your opinion, what are the barriers really to implement these technologies which we know that can really bring the benefits?
Yeah, I will start from where the sir stopped. So basically the adoption is a barrier. People are looking at solutions. They are looking for solution. Occupancy based sensor lighting are already known, and mostly they are looking for a solution which is cheap, as we are in India, and they totally are not understanding the value of technology which we bring by automating or doing any controls to it. So to elaborate, let's say for example, if we automate through a lux level, it will require a technology, it will require control. If we automate through different kind of experience which clients needs based on day, night, evening, and lot of working hours, when during the lunch hours, it will have a different impact to the overall control. So as a technologist, I would say we should be focusing, or the barriers are the cost first of all, and then the awareness. When we go as a company, they say that it's a sales pitch, but when this policy or some government initiative,
Please press a mic.
then it will be better for us to convince more efficiently, because ultimately they look at the benefit and they look at the cost, and any controls and automation is having its cost on its own. Yeah.
So thanks Nitesh, and just to highlight this, right, one point which came up is a cost, and definitely an awareness and education related to it. I will connect this dot with the earlier part of revolution. I'm sorry, I'm again going back to, because that's the success we have seen, which has really created in terms of adoption of LED, which triple E or double ESL done, right? So I think one of the potential solution could be looking at how we can bring down the cost of automation so that this barrier can be taken up. Thanks for taking that point or highlighting that point. Let me now bring in our designer friends, to start with Kaustubh, and then I'll definitely reach out to Ekta for her comments.
Well, I guess we were talking about implementation of LMS and the barriers observed for it. See, primarily any user is always open to the idea of conservation if it means some cost saving to him by the operation, in the means of operation. Having said that, still this LMS or the controls are not that adopted. Primary reason for that is the additional infrastructure it levies on to the existing system. That is a primary concern, and the lack of trained manpower to execute that is a second bigger problem. So understanding one solution is good, but it's not that easy to implement it. So the way forward, according to me, going ahead, is the integrated solution. That means a lighting which is integrated with automated controls or automated controls or sensors would probably make it much easier for people to implement it. Or maybe an integrated lighting solution by means of which there is no additional infrastructure. It comes by the means just as a luminaire and gets executed. So we are all forgetting one thing. We are heavily dependent on manpower to execute all this infrastructure. Now we have not trained them. When people are not even trained to understand LEDs or being an electronic device in that sense, how do you expect them to understand automation and automation controls? So the first barrier according to me is this. So I'll
Thanks, Kaustubh. Ekta ma'am.
Yeah, as for implementation of the automation part, majority of my sites are outdoor. So what we have already started implementing is that wherever there are street lights, for example, they are supposed to have astronomical timers by default. That allows us to save as well as have light when we have a gloomy day or something like that. You are already in line with what the kind of visibility should be there. So this is something that we've started implementing on most of our projects. So only thing is that when you are implementing something like this, it becomes easier. Nobody has to maintain that, and plus it equally ends up saving. So this is something that I would like to add. And as far as the other part in terms of the cost factor, yeah, many people have this. First is in terms of even light. So when there is a very well designed light which is proposed, the cost again comes in the middle. When we say we need to have an automation, again the word is cost in the middle. So yeah, integrated system is what I would also vouch for.
Thanks. Let me bring in a very important perspective. We having heard from the designer's friend, right? We have Mr. Praveen Parit. I would like to request Praveen to comment from the occupant's point of view, specifically who really are the beneficiary of what we are talking about. So yes, Praveen.
So currently implementation of the LMS system or IoT in lighting for the corporate, the main, as sir mentioned, that the barriers is the implementation cost, one factor. And second one, every corporate looking for the ROIs. So for the calculation of ROI is not that much possible in this IoT implementation. Second one is working scenarios. So while automation for the some of the workplace, the scenario will getting drastically changes as per the user's requirement, and that change in the scenario it will require help from the IoT implementer. That is main challenge for us. Then it's a system complexity. That is also one part, and another is the data management and the change management to the all users. That is one another challenge. While you are doing such kind of LMS or such kind of any IoT implementation, you will get the data at the end of the day or end of the next day of the that particular day. So whatever consumption you will see on next day or any addition to that consumption will see you in the next day. So currently no such kind of analytics part seen in the current IoT implementation. That is the main barrier.
I'd like to add on to this. I'll probably take off from what Nitesh mentioned. I actually visited their site and I also looked at the data from the earlier two implementations. So just to give some patterns, what really worked. So the third implementation site which they had was a GCC of a bank. The reason it got implemented over there, and they have almost about 80% saving, and primarily in the parking lots. Mostly because there was a person who had actually implemented it somewhere else. And that person had implemented it at Magarpata city. And at Magarpata city, it was a vision of Satish Magar, who saw that lighting has a very huge potential, and it's a lot of places which are 24/7 lit up without actually being requirement being there. The other thing which I did with Nitesh and his CEO was to actually look at if funding is available, rather than the capex being funded by the consumer who is creating that as talking about it as a entry barrier. If banks are providing funding for solar which has a payback time of 5 years, can it not provide something where the payback time is just 5 quarters? Okay, and we actually got data, and we've been looking at what and how we can actually use that data to work along with banks. The third point is large infrastructures. Lot of times there is we went to a few companies. to ask them, why don't you implement it in your parking lots? Hey, we have already implemented solar. We are saving a lot. So the entry barrier is, renewable energy is an entry barrier for making these changes. So when you ask the question, but why are you even consuming that much when you don't require it? So that is another point which is important. The last one, we are still a growing country and fastly increasing on these type of infrastructure. If you go around, a lot of these large corporations are already building large infrastructure, and in Pune itself there are many. So unless there is a regulation or a adoption from CREDAI or the architects community which does it by default at the time of the implementation of the site itself, it will be a much easier thing as against doing it as a post facto. So these are few points which I would like to share.
Yeah, thank you, Dinanath.
I would like to add one more point over here. See, we are working with the railways also, and there are 3 projects which we won recently, and all are wired based with no control, no automation, and very, very costly. It's like the cost of the automation we quoted is almost 40% below that what they have done. So they are asking for the conduit, they are asking for the wire and cement work, this work, that work. Why it is not required? You are in 21st century, you have wireless technologies and these things, but still, things yet to be changed. And I think that's where this forum is there.
So, well, I think just to bring a particular point, though I am a very, very in favor of controls and automation, because that's my business. Having said that, I personally would like to highlight one important challenge, and I picked up from this particular conversation. One is the security. Right, when we are talking about more and more connected system, see, benefits, savings, money, ROI is all good. But when it comes to a public infrastructure, when it comes to a larger enterprise applications, I think security cannot be really maybe ignored, right? And that is one of the aspects I personally see whenever we talk about IoT, even though the benefits are been proven, yeah, whether it is wired or wireless, the whole question comes in, no, it's a connected world. We are better off with our traditional way. So I think there are ways to go forward. But before we hand it over again, to summarize, right, I think we have really highlighted some of the important aspects. Cost. Now let me give my 2 cents about a cost. And most of the times what we have found that we try to find a solution for a particular area in one particular direction. Now I believe even in this case, there may not be a solution to reduce the cost of implementation by reducing the cost of a sensor, or maybe a cost of the controller or cost of the software. I think we need to think beyond. And what that could be, and I'll easily connect that dot, we have been discussing about utilizing a daylight. One of the major resistance when it comes to utilizing daylight in the building is because it increases the heat. Because once it increases the heat, we have energy consumption because of our air conditioning. I believe the IoT and controls and automation can really play a smarter role, really to strike that required balance here. Right? So my whole point where I'm coming in now, rather than just looking at reducing cost of implementation for IoT in a context of a lighting, we need to go further. How can we, okay, I think that gives me a perfect example. We all have this device in our hand, right? Maybe a decade back, it was just a dumb device to communicate, maybe over phone or maybe a text. Today, it's everything for us, right? And I'm coining this word or borrowing this term called convergence. In same context, in our facilities, we should have convergence of everything in the building. When I'm talking about IoT controls automation, I'm no more only concerned to lighting. A same system, can it also control my HVAC? Can it also control my access? So on and so forth, right? So I'm just giving a food of thought. Can we go beyond lighting and see how we can really accommodate everything and reduce the cost? And then there could be a business model. I again borrow from Dinanath sir, right? There can be different business model in terms of getting a control over a cost. So with this, I think we have definitely a good pointers to deliberate, contemplate, and come up with certain action items which we can take it forward. So with this, over to you.
Just a minute. I just want to put in one thing, that most of the people, they resist automation because of the regulations. Okay, so regulations, we are here to talk of the regulations, we can pursue for that and we can recommend for regulations. However, second thing is larger corporates need to take initiative. I have seen that as and when larger corporates take initiative for automation, people follow it. So we will have to again pursue the matter, and if at all we are in a position to convince that automation is going, it is definitely good. So let us not discuss whether it is good or bad, but the question is, it has to be pursued with larger corporates. Once they accept it, it becomes viable, it becomes acceptable to the other people, and they can start, lot of people start producing when larger corporates start using it. So it is a matter of demand and supply, things go down. I have seen that 2014 somewhere we started using LED, it was very expensive. But once Reliance or big groups start, then lot of industries come, then they start producing it, and then prices start going down. So it is a matter of persuasion, smart times, sometimes regulations also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Because of time, we can. Yes. One last. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Supriya Nirantare. I'm basically an electrical designer. So, like having heard the different points of view that everyone was coming up, the kind of contemplation that I was going through was this. We design for industries sometimes who are running 24 hours, 365 days. And there they require like 500 lux level of lighting, where the energy consumption or control or nothing else works. But when in their work office areas, the only kind of controls that they need is that during lunchtime we want everyone to go out, so please switch off all the lights. So that is the kind of control and automation that they want, that 5 o'clock everything should be off so that people get out of that area. We don't want anybody to be over here. What the point I'm trying to make is every industry is going to have some different need, and every different need has to be catered to when we're talking about regulation. So we cannot have something which is just per square feet sort of a lux level or per square feet sort of a wattage, which is catering to all sorts of industries. Probably it can be differentiated, categorized, and then we can come up with those kind of solutions. This is my take on this. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, madam. Ekta madam, just 1 minute and you can close down. We will go to next. You go ahead with 1 minute. Yeah.
One is people's perception. So that needs to be clarified. Like what people don't even so even today, many people don't even know that lighting designers exist. Yeah. So that, and we are existing for more than 20 years in the industry. So this is one, even with related to automation. Second, to answer her question, we were recently doing a factory which harnesses, which is harnessing cable. They were doing tagging for missiles. So they also had the similar requirement. Yeah. But the kind of efficiency what you can actually do is, again, I point out to my very first thing was with related to wattage, reflectors, lenses and optics, which will reduce down the consumption big time.
Thank you, Ekta madam. With this, in our engineering, we always say that the theory has to be backed up with practical. So we have next one update story. So I'll request Praful to do so. Success stories under energy performance contract.
So I am the managing director of Samudra Electronic Systems Private Limited, which I am the founder director. With little knowledge on lighting, this company was established for design manufacturing of power supplies. And since 1987 to 2009, we were manufacturing and designing power supplies, UPS systems, frequency converters for defense and other things, voltage stabilizers. So power is a subject which is very close to my heart, and I wanted to diversify into some green technology, and I was anticipating that in times to come, the energy segment is the one that is going to actually do wonders, and it would require a lot of changes in terms of energy efficiency, efficacy factors. Since 2004, I was working on increasing the lighting efficacy because of the emergence of LED. LEDs made available since 2004. I was working very closely with Osram Semiconductors and with Cree of USA. and they used to send me LED samples for me to convert them into a usable lighting product. So my expertise, which I am going to put forth today, is on the street lighting segment, which I focused on. Way back in 2008-9, I got an opportunity from the City Council of Pittsburgh, USA, where they wanted to actually evaluate the most efficient street lighting technology. And then I sent them my research papers and other things and said I would like to be one of the participants over there. And I was the only participant from India, and I took along with me to US 4 such lights with me and then installed them over there at my cost, because I also wanted to know where we stand in terms of our designs, and primarily I was into lighting to save the energy, and not for my lighting knowledge was not there. And this is also a power supply. Only thing was that the application was into lighting, and there I was. So there were about 48 participants from all over the world. It was a global participation, and the project was to be monitored by the University of Pittsburgh, USA, the electronics department. And over a period of 1 year, I was told that my product did not malfunction or fail even once, was declared as the most efficient lighting product amongst all the lighting players, because the lighting players who had come from lighting point of view, and I was probably the only one thinking from an energy point of view, that it should provide the same kind of illumination but at a much lower power consumption. So that was the theme. And from there on, when I saw that maybe I was thinking in a different line altogether, I said we need to, that time I did not have a factory or anything, so I constructed a factory at Baramati MIDC, and the story started from there. I went to Washington DC and I gave a presentation to the International Finance Corporation, which is a World Bank body, and to my mind, if I have to come into lighting, it has to be through a performance contract. And if performance and whatever innovation that we are doing, if you are confident, then you invest into your innovation and you prove it, you perform, and then you make all the savings that you are committed. From the savings, you can take the money. So that was my business plan also alongside this. And this was appreciated by the IFC team, and then they said we have an office in Delhi, New Delhi, and we will take up one such project for the city of Jaipur. And they got engaged themselves, because they cannot directly come in as consultants, they have to be appointed by Niti Aayog. And therefore they became the advisors and consultants to the state government of Rajasthan, and took Jaipur as one of the first pilot project. And through our interaction and this thing, we developed a business model called the energy performance contract, where you invest into your innovation, you prove, you are basically selected as a winning bidder based on the highest minimum guaranteed savings that you are going to achieve and that you promise to the government. So at that point of time, when the bid process had started, I had committed a 77% energy savings on with respect to the baseline energy audit, because there is a process of establishing the saved energy, and the process is such that you need to conduct a complete baseline energy audit for the entire city. So there were some 1400 or 1500 such feeder points where we put up our centralized control monitoring system mechanism, and through an IoT platform, we captured the electrical parameters at all the feeder points and came up with the baseline figures. So the baseline figures gave us information with respect to the total kW that is getting consumed, what is the power factor. So there is all the power factors and other areas that when we actually did a study of those documents, we realized the power factor is 0.4. So there is a huge reactive loss which is also happening. And all the streetlights that we had designed were with active power factor correction and other, including the high efficacy factors. There the story lies there when we got this contract based on the such high energy savings, when the other competitors had come up with some 20% or 30% energy savings. I was called by the then Chief Minister of Rajasthan, Madam Vasundhara Raje, and she said कि आप ये कैसे करोगे? ये तो possible ही नहीं है, because I had also committed 30% of my savings, the saved energy, 30% valuation to be given back to the government. It was a very aggressive, and the tariff at that point of time was 5 rupees 45 paisa. He said आप नहीं कर ही नहीं पाओगे, and there were many complaints from the other players also कि ये तो lighting company भी नहीं है, आपने इनको कैसे दे दिया. So my first thing was, madam, I am investing into this. There is zero risk to you, to the government. If I perform, my career builds up. If I fail, my money is also gone. You get free lights, whatever. So she gave me first permission to install the first 15,000 street lights, and she said, "Cham chalu karo." I installed the first 15,000 street lights on the JLN road over there, main road, and other areas of main roads, and I established energy savings of 82%. 82% energy saving, which was unheard of. If you do a YouTube search of Samudra Jaipur project, you will see a before and after. A video clip is also there. Since then, and then she said, "Abhi to aap pura ka pura karo," because I was matching the national lighting code requirements of lighting. Wherever the infrastructure was as per SP 38, my SP, I think 92 is the lighting code requirement for street lights. I was able to match that with uniformity factors, with average lux factors, and all other parameters. And that from there the success story for me in energy performance contract started. This was in 2016-17 that I had completed 1,10,000 street lights installation in Jaipur and was established energy saving of 81%, which they are enjoying even today. Now, getting finance at that point of time to actually invest into the project was a big challenge, because I had no history behind me that I had done a project of this nature before. So I had convinced another big company to partner with me and put finance over there. Today, that company, I have handed over the project to them, and they are running it successfully, and it is still working without any problems. 1,10,000 street lights are working. Okay. Thank you. And after that, what happened? I got an opportunity for an indoor lighting from Sangam Textiles. So Sangam Textiles wanted to replace their 5,000 tube lights, which were actually running continuously. Those were conventional tube lights, about 50 watt, 55 watt power rating. And so Midcon in Pune was the consultant to them, and Midcon went to them and told their managing director that there is a company in Pune who can probably give you a customized solution, because most of the companies at that point of time were importing from China and just supplying a 20 watt standard tube light. So when I went and I had a meeting with them, I saw I did my survey and other things. My team went over there, and we said we should be able to provide your lighting requirements in 13.5 watt. So I was even looking at a decimal of that watt also, because my entire journey into lighting is because of to save energy. And I told him, "Sir, I will give you a 13 point, itna kam mein kaise hoga?" He could not believe it, because none of the lighting companies had given him any such option of a reduced power with a higher lumen product. And there also, I gave them first the samples. The samples, 10 tube lights were given to them, and the lumen output was higher than the 20 watt tube light which the other companies had provided. And he gave me, and my price was about 600 rupees higher than the other vendors. But he said, because I am going to make up because of this lower, that 6 watt saving per tube light, and the deal was like this, that he said, "I will give you a 4-year deferred payment bank guarantee, that every month from my savings I will pay you." So I said, "Okay, that's not a problem." And he gave me an IDBI bank guarantee of 1 crore 20 lakhs at that point of time. This was in 2011-12. And there is no scheme with the banking sector that they can actually give me some money against this bank guarantee. So again, there was a challenge of actually investing into the project. But we somehow managed, and we did this project also. Today also, after 12 years, all the 5,000 tube lights in Sangam Textiles supplied by us are working today, And the beauty of this thing is that after 1 year, because they were working for 24 hours duration, he had recovered his entire cost in 1 year. And the MD called me, he said, Prafulji, aap ek kaam kariye, you send me our bank guarantee, what I had given you for 4 years. We have recovered our money and I am paying you the balance amount, immediately I am transferring. So that is another success story in a private segment. After that, I had a meeting with, I was called at BEST Mumbai. Now BEST Mumbai, they used to purchase, they want for street light purpose. One Mr. Surendra Bagade was the IS officer, but he had done his engineering from Pennsylvania, electrical. So he could understand the energy aspect of that. And he said, ki, we want to, go for a tender kind of a thing, and we are looking at a 50 watt with 5000 lumen output. So my contention has been always that when you are buying a lighting product now, then you should buy in terms of lumens and not look at the wattage. Because LEDs have changed the complete, every time we used to buy, since the incandescent lamp was there, आप हमको 40 watt का दे दो, if you want more lamp, you 80 watt का दे दो, 100 watt का दे दो, because it is a mental this thing that higher power means higher lumen. So that was this thing. So I said, sir, I think I should be able to give you this 50 watt, 5000 lumen output in approximately 29 to 30 watt. Now, fortunately, BEST has its own lighting lab. I think the only, municipal corporation with its own lighting lab. And they said, ki you first give us samples and my team will want to check it. So I gave them a 30 watt product.
Sir, please timer.
Okay.
You can complete.
Yeah. And then the thing is that in 30 watt, I could they measured the lumen output of 5200 lumens. So they said that we want to now actually, in floating a tender, how do we, draft the specifications and what would be the evaluation criteria. So the evaluation criteria was the cost of ownership, I told him. Because they said we have enough funds. We don't want that your Jaipur thing that we are going to pay you in 10 years or anything like that. We have money. So then I said you go for the cost of ownership. So cost of ownership means the cost of the product that you quote and also add the cost of energy that you are going to pay for in the next 5 years. Because 5 years was the warranty duration. And when you add these two, इसमें जो lowest आएगा, then you look at that vendor as your this thing, and of course they will do all the other evaluations of the company and other things. Those are all right. So they did that, and there although our prices were high, our cost of energy, we got the entire contract of 32,000 streetlights. From Mahim to Kolaba to Mahim, the entire stretch is done by BEST. So we could get it because of the high efficacy factors. And those 5 years, today it is 7 years now over, and the lights are still working in Mumbai. If you can, all the Malabar Hill, the Nepean Sea Road, all that area, even the Taj Hotel and other areas are, lit with our lamps over there. So after that, I have done many projects in this thing. Now what we have done, I will just sum up. I have done Sangli Municipal Corporation street lighting project. There we have put a customized lighting management software. There is an IoT platform, there is a portal. I am able to communicate with each lamp, and each lamp can communicate with me. Each lamp delivers its own power. Every 15 minutes I get the status of each lamp. And if there is a single lamp failure, I get on my portal an alert is generated that this lamp is not working at this particular location. So my service engineer can actually go to that place and look at it. We have been able to establish 84.59% energy savings in Sangli, not only in terms of energy, it is reflecting in terms of their energy bills, on monthly energy bills. So, and this is all investment-based projects. We invest into the project, and now Power Finance Corporation, through recommendation from Bureau of Energy Efficiency, has financed, gave me 35 crores to do the Sangli project, and they said, abhi bada project leke aao, so we can do it for the state or something like that. We have done another project where we have replaced LEDs, Baramati Municipal Council. It's a small project, some 12,000 street lights. by replacing LEDs, we have been able to establish with our LEDs over 60% energy savings. So this is a new business model which will come up where whatever 10 million streetlights have been installed by ESL over the last 7-8 years is another business potential for us, where we will go and pitch for that. We will invest into the project and we will save over 60-65% energy savings for them at no cost to the government, no risk to the government. So this is the.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. With this wonderful success story, let's break for a tea and we'll be back at 4. Hello everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon all. Can we start?
Yes.
After a wonderful first half of our session, let us have a second half with wonderful presentation by Surekha Deshmukh madam. Dr. Surekha Deshmukh represents IEEE, and we will get some updates on IEEE and its working in lighting in this session. Hand over to madam.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. Thank you Dr. Saket. Thank you PIC for giving this opportunity for all of us actually to gather here and talk about something which is very, very important. Because from electricity utility point of view, it is important as it consumes almost 10 to 15% of electricity, and that's why we really need to focus on how we can minimize this particular consumption, which is primarily because of lighting sector. As Dr. Saket mentioned, I'm here representing IEEE Pune Section as well as a couple of IEEE global committees like IEEE Smart Lighting as well as IEEE Smart Cities Committee. The objective of having some conversation here is mainly to explore opportunities of collaboration and partnership with local section as well as global committees. So I have just come up with some of the pointers. The best person to talk about these international collaboration is Professor Georgios Zissis, who is the chair of International IEEE Smart Lighting Committee. So I requested him to, give his view on how the best we can collaborate with him and his committee. So we will run that video, but prior to that, I just wanted to give some preamble. It is in terms of having some collaboration. There are 5 opportunities that we see where we can collaborate with IEEE. First is with IEEE's Future Directions Committee. And Future Directions Committee has come up with this important initiative which is pretty new at global level, which is IEEE Smart Lighting Committee. And the objective of this particular committee is to discuss on the aspects of technology, environmental impact of lighting industry and lighting sector as such, as well as use of energy and resources which gets consumed in the entire value chain of lighting industry. And apart from these 3 major sectors, again, this initiative welcomes all new ideas of innovation and collaboration. And this is pretty much open for all professional organizations. For last 2 years, under the umbrella of IEEE Smart Lighting, they have started with one competition that is Let's Make Light Available to Each and Everybody. It's a global competition, and again by virtue of this competition, the objective is to reach out to those professionals who belong to this particular field, and we can certainly make a difference as per green light technology is concerned, as well as making light industry sustainable and scalable business. The third opportunity, which is very unique, where we should think of collaborating, is one platform of International Energy Agency. We all know about IEA and different verticals of IEA. One vertical of IEA is Technology Collaboration Program on Energy Efficient End Use Equipment. And recently IEA has started with one platform called Smart Sustainable Lighting and Control. Unfortunately, a couple of IEEE members are part of this particular platform of IEA, as well as Georgios himself chairs this particular platform, and that's why he requested me that it would be really great if we get some professionals from this region who would intend to contribute to this global initiative of IEA, where again their major areas of focus are on impact of lighting on human being as well as impact of lighting on environment. Then all the work that we need to do should try to culminate into some support for standards as well as regulations, as well as we need to come up with some important insights for market assessment and benchmarking. So this is about third opportunity which I see with IEA. As well as under this umbrella of IEEE, we are known for international collaborations. And that's why to get the gathering of like-minded associates in this field of energy, electricity plus lighting sector, since last 3 years we have started with IEEE Smart and Sustainable Lighting Conference. Again, the objective of that particular conference is not only to invite, say, researchers, but to invite industry professionals also, where they can demonstrate the innovative ideas and innovative product that they have. This year, this International Smart Lighting Conference happened at Indoven. And you know the importance of Indoven. Indoven is the source of lighting and the first industry of Philips. And this year, probably next year, it will go to Greece. So that's another very interesting purpose for, interesting reason for all of us also to contribute for this smart lighting conference. And then having talked about these 4 global opportunities, I really want to even share with all of you the section level initiative that we started this year. We call this as Special Interest Group on Energy and Environmental Engineering, where the emphasis is on energy and going back to the fundamentals of energy, like how the best we can achieve energy efficiency, energy saving, energy optimization. And that's why again I see that this particular gathering will be the great contributor for this special interest group of IEEE Pune section. So these are a couple of ideas and these are a couple of areas where I think all of us are most welcome to join hands with us. And you can reach out to me anytime. After this particular gathering also, we will discuss and we'll see how the best we can take this partnership ahead. So now let me request him to play the video of Georgios Zissis.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Georgios Zissis, professor in Toulouse University in France. And first of all, I want to thank you for giving me the possibility to present some insight about a couple of important worldwide initiatives around lighting. Let me share my screen. As I told you, I'm working in Toulouse University, and my real specialty is the science and technology of lighting systems. And I am surrounded by 20 researchers and PhD students working in the same domain. In parallel, beyond my everyday job, I'm chairing the IEEE Smart Lighting Initiative created 4 years ago, and also the Smart Sustainability in Lighting and Controls platform of the International Energy Agency. I will tell you a little bit about those 2 programs. Well, that we need is to invent or promote an affordable smart lighting system. To do that, we can use that I call, and I create some time ago, the SSL square concept. SSL square stands for solid state lighting and smart sustainable lighting. In fact, what says that concept? A sustainable smart lighting system use and optimize to an intelligent way. The word intelligent here is a better place than in the intelligent lighting system. To an intelligent way, I continue the best existing technology. Today is solid state lighting and especially LEDs to best fulfill present needs for artificial light and reduce undesirable side effects without compromising the ability of future generations to innovate. If you look at these graphics here, in fact, what is the idea? Sorry about that. You take the best existing available technology, LEDs, and then you calculate what are the impacts of those technology from the beginning, from the production of the light sources till the recycling. You take into account the human needs, and then you try to tune a little bit the technology in order to reduce the impacts and fulfill better the societal needs and human needs. This SSL square concept apply very well to any kind of technology. If maybe 30 years from now we find something new, better than LEDs, who knows? We never have to say that's all, folks. We cannot find anything new. We can use the same scheme in order to optimize the system. If you do that, you will achieve that I call smart lighting system. And this system light up smart to a sustainable and affordable way where it is needed, when it is necessary, and as best as possible. Just remind you two things that, first of all, eliminate doesn't mean flood objects, people, or buildings with light. This is not the good solution. And on the other system, the new technology of smart lighting system shall be safe and also find a way to make it affordable to profit to all kinds of populations, not only rich people. We are speaking here about all people. If you do that, then we can make our future better. This is one of the objectives of the IEEE Smart Lighting Initiative. In fact, this initiative created by IEEE Future Directions and supported by a number of IEEE units like Industry Application Society or Power Energy Society, and I will go further, but also with some people coming from industry like the International Smart Lighting Alliance in China or the IP 500 Alliance in Europe. The vision of this Smart Lighting Initiative is to cluster IEEE members' expertise from various horizons and disciplines, along with external resources, academia, industry, but also governments, to build a community for advancing the knowledge in sustainable smart lighting systems for saving better the humanity. Indeed, IEEE Smart Lighting, as you can see in the other part of that slide, can respond to these needs. Because smart lighting fits perfectly with the mission of IEEE, which is advancing technology for humanity. On the other hand, lighting consumes huge amount of energy and has huge impacts that we can try to reduce. Lighting is a factor for sustainable development. We spoke about revenues and all that things, and also lighting industry and the ICT industry, information communication technology, are today so rapidly growing and converging, and IEEE's role should to accompany this evolution. This IEEE Smart Lighting Initiative is open not only to IEEE members, it's open worldwide. You are very welcome to join individually or even as a corporation. This is just an example of what we are doing. Since 2 years now, we started a Let's Make Light competition, and the objective here is to help people in poor areas to substitute incandescent or fire lighting with more sustainable technologies. In fact, in developing countries, extreme poverty and lack of resources make daily tasks very intensive. Most of those communities, we're speaking here roughly about 800 million people on the world, live without artificial light. And that severely limits the productivity activities from dusk to dawn. After that, we cannot do anything anymore. If we are able to provide the possibility to them to use affordable electrical and potentially smart lighting systems, then the small amount of light that we can offer them can be transformational. It will allow people to go outside in the middle of night and be able to spot a danger like scorpion, snake, and avoid also a potential sting or any kind of harm. It empowers also kids to read and complete their homework. This is something priceless. We have to go to that direction. It enables also parents to advance their learning or run a small business and make their lives easier. The IEEE Let's Make Light competition is an opportunity then to demonstrate the ability to innovate and overcome the huge distribution challenge to get affordable lighting products in the hands of extremely poor people. This kind of contest is open to inventors, entrepreneurs, students, and also young professionals. As you can see, in 2024, we had more than, if I'm correct, 40 candidates for this contest. We are looking now to make the choice of the winners. And we had two tracks. One was green lighting technology, design of green lighting technology, and also design of sustainable and scalable business. For this contest, IEEE gave some awards going up to $3,000 per track for the first award, down to $1,000 for the third award. This is just to explain how IEEE helps not only to make technological advances, but also how it helps poor people to progress and make their lives easiest. Let's go now to the second important initiative, the Smart Sustainability in Lighting and Controls SSLC platform, which is part of the 4E Technological Collaboration Program hosted by the International Energy Agency. In fact, this initiative is similar but not exactly with the previous one, because this initiative is designed by and for governments. In fact, SSLC is created by governments and work for governments to serve the need of public interest, of course, in the domain of electrical lighting. There is a rapid overview of that activity. This platform, SSLC platform, focus on three connected areas of research. You have them here. We are looking how to understand the impacts of lighting. I told you a lot about that. How understand and how measure it. This is very important. Then how we can translate that in support and standards and regulation, support for standards and regulation. We are not doing standards or regulation, is not our role. And also looking how this kind of recommendations and potential regulations can impact the market. And back, the loop is closed. And in fact, the idea here is to combine policy and technical expertise from lighting member countries across different horizons and disciplines. Today, our member countries, I forgot to put that in my slide, is France, Sweden, Denmark, Australia, and South Korea. And we are looking now to expand to new countries like China and Japan. India may be also a country that can join that initiative, provided that Indian government wants to join the 4E TCP program of International Energy Agency, but to my knowledge, there are some discussions about that yet. We are looking here clearly about system issues. We need to define what is a lighting system. This is very important. It can be funny because you know what is a lighting system, but there is no real formal definition. Understand the interaction with other technologies, and also find ways how to measure, compare, and evaluate the efficiency of such kind of systems. I'm not speaking here about luminous efficacy. We know what is lumen per watt. let's go beyond lumen per watt. This is that we want to do inside this platform. We want also for that consider material and resource efficacy and also take into account circular economy principles. We want also to focus on lighting controls because they can lead to a more sustainable and efficient systems that can be more adaptive to end users' needs. Finally, we want to conclude in a standard way to evaluating the impact on resources and the environment. And of course, inside international energy agencies, there are other technical collaboration programs, and our mission is to collaborate with all of them. Well, once again, we can discuss, if you are interested by this SSLC platform, we can discuss how India can participate somehow to this initiative. It's completely different from IEEE. IEEE, anyone can participate. Here we have to pass through some procedures. Well, as Bugs Bunny said, that's all, folks. And unfortunately, as I'm not in a person, I regret that, among you. You cannot ask me directly. Please send me your questions through email. Dr. Sureka can, of course, give you my email and also send me your questions directly. Thank you for listening me, and especially thanks to Sureka for inviting me for this talk.
That I just referred to, which is a smart and sustainable conference. It's a global conference, and definitely we should look forward to contribute in that IEEE conference. The interesting part, as per these opportunities are concerned, is all about IEA. Only condition is like that IEA needs a government participation and an authoritative agreement with government, and there is some parallel discussions which is already going on with Ministry and Government of India, so that then they will identify some key stakeholders where then they will represent the overall national perception towards this important sector of lighting. So I think I have covered pretty much the possibilities.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm just going to comment in a first half. Even now we are discussing about light and light and light. There is too much of pollution. If we go for somewhere outside for a star party, stargazing, we'll feel that we cannot see the sky. So just to comment, there is a Dark Sky Association which works for what pollution we carry out about the light. The other part of it, from before Edison also, that is a GNS lab. If we go back, there are few good historical monuments where we have a shadow telling us a time, the sun shadow telling us a time, or we know the Kirlotsar that we have in Kolhapur. So there is a typical main focus can be given to day lighting. And for that, we are coming for a next update from Namrata Madam, related to best practices in daylighting. And Namrata Madam.
Hello. Yes, until the slides show up. Is there a pointer? Slide. Okay. So yes, I have no, not this one. The other presentation. The other presentation. Yes, so I mean, nothing much is there on the slides anyways, it's just for me to talk. So I will be primarily giving an update on what all is happening in the Indian context with respect to daylight, more from an architecture point of view, but also in terms of technology and innovations that have happened in this field of lighting. So to start with, the next slide. That's right. So in terms of, first I will talk a little about global architectural practices. So today we see that there are a lot of firms set up in India who are actually operational even internationally. So that makes a lot of global presence for architecture and Indian architecture per se, right? So I think that is a good opportunity for architects. So you will actually see, so I'm just naming a few architects, don't quote me on that, but there are many more. But architects like architect Sanjay Puri, or if you see architect Sanjay Patil. So these are architects who have really sort of taken lighting design as part of their architectural design to really the next level, right? So you will see a lot of their works actually, like I said, are implemented, they are on ground, they are not unbuilt sort of fancy ideas, but they are actually built architectural projects which actually see a lot of emphasis given on facades, for example. Facades, when I say facades, I'm actually talking about facades for daylight, facades for parametric design, which actually incorporates how actually facades are actually reacting or responding to the movement of the sun, for example, right? So there is a lot of emphasis, and that actually has put, like I said, Indian architecture on the global map, right? So that is one thing I wanted to emphasize when I say global architectural practices. Then, of course, the green building certification. Yes, that over the years, in the last I think 7, 8 odd years. So India today especially stands at rank number 2 worldwide for having the highest green building footprint. So again, and the emphasis on that because a majority, so if you see, there are 2 aspects in the rating system which actually emphasizes the need that we are talking here today. That is energy efficiency and indoor environmental quality. And daylight is a very, very integral part of that indoor environmental quality aspect, as well as energy efficiency. So again, the adoption of these green building certification rating systems have again really made a point, because they are buildings who are standing, who are operating, who are functional, and they are actually occupants and users who are using those buildings and have actually given good feedback and responses to how they are using the building. So I think that has been a very remarkable sort of update in this field of architecture and design with respect to lighting. Then yes, performance simulation and its large scale adoption again. Today, like I think even Kaustubh was mentioning when he was talking about how they, as lighting designers, as architects, there has been a lot of emphasis to the use of using performance simulation tools. Again, that's a very good thing, because today architects have that sort of weapon in their hand where they can actually predict and design better buildings. But better in terms of, again, I'm emphasizing here the topic of today's discussion, which is lighting. So what the power simulation tools give you is that they actually can help you predict how your building is going to perform. There are a lot of iterations that happen. So today architects personally are taking a lot of sort of curiosity. They're actually welcoming this idea of actually having buildings sort of seen as to how they're performing. They're ready to make, when they're designing elevation. So it's again aesthetics, right? Again, for architects, aesthetics becomes a very major role that they want to play, along with, of course, the indoor comfort of occupants. So they are ready to go at that length to actually see how projects are shaping up with respect to lighting, of course, amongst other parameters. So I think simulation tools have really picked up in the last couple of years. So that is something that has seen, and again, of course, the challenge to a lot of extent still remains that the sort of affordability of these softwares is, I mean, there are some of them which are again, so and there is a learning curve, right? So I won't say that it's a very easy sort of thing to pick up. So there is a learning curve. There is an cost factor which is involved, that not everybody or every architect can actually afford to have a software into their system in their offices. But definitely there is a lot of emphasis and a growing market for that. So that is something that we can see a large scale adoption of that again in the coming years. Then of course standards and codes. Again, there is a lot, I think that we have spoken in the first session, that there is a lot that needs to be done, but still I would say that we are still better off, at least in terms of integrating energy efficiency and daylight again. So when the 2007 ECBC, which is the Energy Conservation Building Code, when it came up in the first version of it, when it came up, there was absolutely no discussion on the topic of daylight, right? There was only artificial lighting that was included. But then in 2017, when there was an amendment or a major revision in the ECBC that came in, there was an entire chapter today that we have which talks about daylighting. So that itself, I think, is again a very major sort of leap that we have taken, that at least there are some standards which are codes which are actually implementing the use of daylight also, that needs to be implemented. And of course, apart from that, there are rating systems, other standards which sort of implement it. And then the last update in terms of, yes, of course, for all of this, we require skill, we require skill sets, we require people who would actually need to be trained in these skill sets of lighting design, right? So again, architectural education again has seen quite some change in the recent past again, that there are a lot of emphasis given on daylight, there is a lot of emphasis given on practical examples where actually students can, so example, so we have master courses where lighting or building physics, again I think Ekta was pointing that out, that lighting is not just about, there's a lot of physics behind it, right? So yes, definitely there is a lot of emphasis that we are giving not just on the use of simulation tools and actually making students or the future architects not just design by thumb rules, but actually designing with respect to certain real case examples and then actually implementing that. So I think these are the areas where, like I said, I wanted to give an update that there are many things happening. So for example, and one of the last things which is not there, but I wanted to make an emphasis was on new matrix. For example, until again in terms of daylight, I would say until a few years back, we were using daylight factor as the only standard matrix for evaluation with respect to daylight. It was taught across all schools. I mean, I'm sure even engineering, architecture, the daylight factor was our only. But then again, with over time, there has been so much of research. Of course, a lot of it has been done abroad in the European context, but I would still say again there is something that we need to look forward to, but those matrix have been tailor-made for the Indian context to some extent. There is still a lot of work that can be done. So matrix in terms of annual solar exposure, for example, that was a matrix which absolutely nobody had sort of heard of, and that is something which now also features in ECBC again, right? So, and also NBC, yeah, I forgot to mention one core standard, of course, NBC, which is the National Building Code. Again, it's a Bible for architects, even engineers, whoever are looking at codes. So again, 2016, when the NBC actually underwent a revision, an entire change, there was an entire chapter sort of added with respect to sustainability, and again these newer metrics were sort of a part of the NBC, and it is right now, currently, it is a part of the NBC. So again, that's a very welcome big change that has come. So I was talking about these metrics, for example, useful daylight illuminance, for example. So UDI is again a matrix which is now a part of the ECBC and even the NBC. But in that, the only thing I would like to sort of put up as a future sort of thing that can be done in the Indian context is that right now the useful daylight illuminance as a matrix has a very sort of European, I would say, context of a threshold, or a global context of a threshold of 300 lux to 3000 lux is what the range of useful daylight is, which in maybe in the Indian context to a lot of 3000 is also associated with a lot of glare. So those are issues that we can actually work out, have some revisions in the matrix. So that is something that the future sort of holds, but these are the updates I wanted to give with respect to daylight. Thank you.
Thank you, Namrata. It was wonderful. Now, actually, when we are thinking about annual solar exposure, actually for solar implementation, we always use this factor and we calculate that, and there are so many other factors comes with, we compare with what generation is there and this, but we can directly connect it with the light. It's a good important thing. Once again, I'm going back to again Kolhapur, and few days back there was a incident happened, and one of the festivals, two of the persons, they lost their eyes because of laser. And as a light, we have to come back again to this entire area where everyone has to be focused very carefully. And our next session is planned, next track is regarding this only. So once again, I request Namrata, a discussion on healthy lights, healthy lives, impact of lighting on health, well-being and environment.
Sorry. So yes, this session will primarily again talk on lighting with respect to health and well-being. So again, buildings today, the built environment is primarily designed for users, for occupants, and their health and well-being is of utmost importance, right? As designers, as architects, as lighting professionals, we might end up designing buildings based on our experiences, but if that does not sort of translate into how whether users are actually using and benefiting from what we have designed for, I think it sort of holds no true. So typically I'm obviously not going to talk about the terminologies of health and well-being, but again there are two different aspects. When we are talking about health, is actually a physical state of being, right? And when we are talking about wellness, it is more to do with a sort of psychological aspect of happiness, of mental health, right? So how do we actually sort of marry the two of them and talk about health and well-being together, right? So we are not just talking about the physiological aspects of the built environment and lighting, but we also need to talk about the psychological aspect. We also need to talk about the perception aspect. So there are, and the last aspect also that needs to be focused on is behavioral. So I think behavior is something that is really going to trigger a lot of things, right? Because again, we might design very good buildings the way we have thought of or should be used, but finally occupants or users are actually going to use that building, right? So how can we actually ensure that the behavior of the occupants with respect to, say, for example, shading devices, right? We were just talking outside during the tea break that we design for blinds to sort of, remain open for majority of the times to get in daylight. But due to some reason, at some point of time when there needs to, the curtains need to be drawn because of whatever reason, at some point of the day, once they come down, they never go up again, right? Because who's really going to, as a behavioral aspect, who's really going to take the efforts to sort of get up and open that window shade, right? And then it's more easier to sort of switch on a light than maybe really draw that curtain up. So these are behavioral things that really need to, and we were talking about sensors again. The whole point of sensors is that nobody really needs to do any work, and then you're saving on energy, right, ultimately. So yes, so these are things that we really need to emphasize on. Just to talk about in terms of the factors that really, and this is what the questions will lead to. When we are talking about lighting per se, we are not just talking about having light, or living organisms don't just need lighting, but we are actually talking about, having the right light, right? It's not just about having light, the right light and at the right time again, right? So because again, coming back to behavior, every body or every human or every species or organism has a circadian rhythm, right? So we all here are following a day-night cycle that the body is used to. So it's very important that what kind of light we are getting, what is the time of the day that we are getting that light at, and then the spectrum and all those other detailing, right? So again, that is something that really, and these are all aspects which are directly linked with health and well-being, right? They are not, they are more of qualitative aspects more than quantitative. So it's, something that really needs to be. So of course, we all know that, so this figure here sort of shows, right, that if you see that somewhere around, I think, from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock is where your peak productivity time is, right? That is what a typical circadian rhythm is. And if you see that this is what then gets linked with, say, schools performing at their peak at that time, we as in workspaces performing at our peak times during, the same period of, say, 10 to 1, and then the light spectrum needs to change. We can't have the same kind of light throughout the entire 8 hours that we are in our office spaces or schools. There has to be a change in the kind of light quality and quantity that we are giving. Yes, so I think with this, this is just in terms of, yes, and then we are now today again, so I think I've spoken enough of daylight. People might think I'm too biased towards daylight, but that's not the case. But yes, of course today there are a lot of, like I think I emphasized before also, that there are a lot of activities and building typologies today, which, by choice, it's not by choice, that it's just the nature of those projects which actually are 24 hours operated building and require, sort of mimicking mimicking the actual daylight, right? So we all know the benefits of daylight, but how do we actually mimic them for occupants who are actually working, in the nights, for example, in the, like I said, in hospitals, healthcare environments, in airports, right? There are a lot of factories, manufacturing units also which operate in night shifts. So how are we actually, so then that is where we actually have today human-centric lighting design, where actually there are light designs today which actually mimic the actual daylight environment, which is beneficial. So this is something that has absolutely been an innovation in the field of lighting, I would say, and is really growing by the day. So yes, like I said, so workspaces require a different kind of environment, healthcare facilities, we are talking about educational institute. I would just want to emphasize that there are so many, so the point here for educational institutes or schools is that there are multiple requirements of daylight in one space, right? That's what makes it very challenging. So you actually have students writing on the desk, you actually have them simultaneously looking at a projector screen, you have them simultaneously looking at a whiteboard or a chalkboard there. So the kind of variation in lighting that is required maybe just in one classroom is immense, right? And it's very difficult for the occupants to actually sort of, adjust to these changing lighting environments and then the glare coming in from the window. So these are things that really have to be thought of when you're actually talking about. So yes, with that now my question, so I typically have 3 or 4 areas which I would like to highlight. So typically we are talking about lighting or health and well-being with respect to technology, the synchronization, like I said, of daylight with artificial lighting. So how does that happen? Of course, we are talking about health and well-being, and then the output of humans or productivity, right? So with that, I think my first question, I would just like to open it out, but specifically maybe ask, since I have Dr. Sujata Karve here, she has done her PhD in the area of studying indoor environmental quality in the healthcare sector. And like I said, in the healthcare sector, she's not just studied the indoor environmental quality and its reference with respect to the patients, but she's gone the other way. She's actually looked at how are doctors and nurses actually, or the support staff actually reacting to the indoor environmental, because at times you'll see a lot of studies being done with respect to the patients and how they feel, but what about the doctors and the support staff who are working for maybe longer time as compared to the patients, right? So I think if there is some light that you can throw with respect to that.
Thank you, Namrata, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about this. Like Namrata said, it's a very interesting environment. Healthcare, as you all know, it's a very complicated, complex kind of an environment, even for architects to design. And definitely lighting plays a very important role, not only for the patients who are, kind of stuck to their beds and wanting to see the daylight, but interestingly for the doctors also. So I'll just share one of the findings that I came across. There are many, but especially all of you know how important lighting is in an operation theater, and there has been a lot of change that has happened. So from the traditional lights, we've gone to the LED lights because of energy efficiency. Now, one of the surprising things that what the doctors were saying was that this shift has been actually detrimental even in terms of their health. One, because the LED are more focused, they're very strong in terms of the lighting that they give. So other than the energy efficiency part of it, it is stressful for the eyes. It is extremely stressful for the eyes. And the second thing they realized was they're not getting the depth of field that is required, especially when they are dealing with very fine surgeries. So in that case, it becomes very stressful, and at the end of the maybe 3-4 hours of actually operating, they come out with a headache, which is very, so where lighting is also affecting health. It is also affecting them physically. There have also been cases, some of them have actually developed trouble with the eyesight. So they're also getting problems with that. So, and they kept telling me, that it's good, it's energy efficient, the lighting is good, but it is not what we really want. It is something that, something needs to change. We don't know what it is, but something needs to change. We still prefer the old lights that were there. They gave us better depth of field. They were more soothing to the eye. And especially when you're working long time in the theater in a very closed environment. So what we don't realize is never see the sunlight, they don't see the daylight. So they have a very concentrated area in which they are working in. In that case, the concentration levels need to be very high. And if this kind of distracts them, it is becoming both stressful physically as well as mentally. And it is not good for the patients if it is going to, that is going to happen. And especially, neurosurgery, for example, they were very strongly talking about this because dealing with the brain, they're dealing with very, very, very fine kind of, situations and very fine kind of, though now they do have a lot of these microscopes and things like that which kind of enhance their views, but definitely the concentration required is very, very high. So that was one thing that came across when I talked to nearly I think around 100 odd doctors that I interviewed in my during my entire thesis. So that was one thing that they kept telling me again and again, can't something be done about it? I said, I don't know, that's a discussion for another time, but I would like to know.
On that note, I have an experience to share with you. Incidentally, we are doing quite a lot of geriatric homes these days. Geriatric homes are typically for people who may not need the hospitalization but need 24 hours of medical care. And most of these people are aged and are confined to their rooms. Having said that, the problem that you've been identifying or with the doctors are facing, it has more to do with the quality of the light. It has nothing to do with the quantitative aspect of light. See, as far as our perceptual vision is concerned, there are two important factors. One is adaptation and second is accommodation. What makes your better depth of field, how you perceive your depth of field is because of the accommodation. Our eyes are able to relate at this time as well as that same time. Now it really depends on the balance of illumination between this point and that point. This is very critical and important aspect of lighting design. So what you are talking about are the issues pertaining to the lighting design. What happens with LEDs? More and more unknowingly people have started working more on the task lighting, but we have totally forgotten the general lighting, and that is the reason why people do not have comfort in the spaces they are used. So I think the solution to all this is a proper lighting design approach, as I have been mentioning in the slide 1, is the best way to handle all these issues. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello?
Just one more thing to add in that same thing. Sorry. So it's like you rightly mentioned, one is the task lighting part of it, but if you see the entire system, the operation theaters have changed. It's not the traditional operation theaters that we have any longer. We have cameras, we have screens out there, so the doctors keep kind of moving their vision from a very small field to a large field. And that also needs a different way in which lighting needs to be designed. But general lighting again is very I mean, it needs to be done a little differently than the general lighting that we would, look at in a typical setting. So I know it's a very specialized area, but I think especially when it comes to health and well-being, it is very critical for the users here because they are dealing with live patients. So for them, lighting becomes a very critical aspect if they really want to kind of deliver what they are supposed to deliver. So rest, everything is there, but here I think lighting becomes a very critical aspect.
Just a minute, I just want to put up some, as they say, healthcare is the most important part because people are sick and they need to recover. So lighting is important, but I remember somewhere in 2005 when we had been designing operation theaters, I remember that time LED was not there. So we had drivers specified, not the light source, because it was luminescent. So drivers with active power factor correction, then as on date we can have ripple free lighting. So stroboscopic effect zero stroboscopic effect was introduced in special lighting design, that was in driver. As well, lighting in wards, lighting in special wards, lighting in every area is very different if you consider architecture and engineering combination, that's the best thing can happen. Every area needs to be addressed. Like ICU patient was recommending that your ceiling should be light free. It should not be, there should be no lighting, so that should be considered. So by understanding the requirements of the doctors and surgeons, I will tell you, still that time we were not using fluorescent light, it was halogen for the operation theaters. It is 10,000 plus lux lighting, and outside lighting around that is around 1200 something. So acclimatization, suppose you look at the patient and you suddenly look at side, you will be blank. So that also was to be addressed and had been addressed. So every part of the healthcare facility needs to be addressed in a different way with engineering and architectural combination. So we had all type of drivers with ripple free, then active power factor correction, so everything was done. So I can tell you that this is very much possible when designers are working very closely on, and they are listening to surgeons and doctors. That is important. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Carry on.
Can I just put my two questions, and then if you have time, because I have been getting some hinge from here. So, just until we come back to Ekta, just in terms of now moving from, so like we spoke about healthcare, I think at length, there is also another area where obviously again daylight plays a very, very critical role, is obviously the residential sector, right? So with that we have Sunita. I think I will sort of pose this question to you, that with Mahindra Life Spaces and your experiences of designing such vast scale residential buildings, what do you think is the role of daylight, and how do you actually go about when you talk about daylight in terms of providing them to your users in your apartments and your residential buildings?
Yeah, so I'm Sunita. I head sustainability for Mahindra Life Spaces, and many of you in the room may not be aware of one of our initiatives. It's a thought leadership initiative at which it's a laboratory that we have set up at Terry Gram, and would invite you all to visit, especially people from the lighting segment should visit. And why you should visit is because we are doing research over there to actually study sky conditions. And this is the only laboratory in India that is actually studying sky conditions. So these studies have happened abroad, and such sky scanners are, there was one study done by IIT Roorkee for a couple of months, and then they dropped the study. It is expensive, the scanner is expensive, and so we have one set up, and it's spatial, so it will require, so temporal we'll do it for that location, but it depends upon the latitude and longitude. So we have set one in Gurgaon and one in Chennai. We want to set up another in Bombay. Now, why do we study the sky conditions? Is to basically for helping in designing how much is the available daylight. Now, this is nothing but the diffuse solar radiation, and which can originate from any sky conditions, and the sky map then can be divided into 16 zenith and azimuth divisions. It is important to study it is because the models that we use for daylight simulation while we are designing commercial spaces as well as residential spaces use European sky conditions in overcast conditions. And you know what that does to India and the buildings in India? Our buildings look like as if we are in Europe. And what does that do to thermal comfort? It means that we will have, because we want a lot of daylight, and builders love daylight. They want to go and tell everybody daylight, and you'll see the hoardings when you go to Hinjawadi, daylight. मतलब वो glare तक का daylight है. So I feel that we should actually educate humanity that in India how to buy a house, and we are not in Europe. And so we have done these studies, and we also, Saint Gobain is one of our partners. The Chennai center is in Saint Gobain facilities in IIT Chennai, and of course Terrygram is where the other sky scanner is. So we found that the Indian sky conditions, the illuminance levels are much higher than what is, used in models. And what does that mean? It means that आपकी जो छोटी सी window है ना, वो काफी है आपके घर के लिए. You don't need to pull the windows down to your foot level. Okay. And that means our windows have to be openable. Our windows will give that sufficient light. And if you do pull it down, there are two things that you are introducing. You are introducing glare and you are introducing heat. And nowadays windows don't have chhajjas, and so you've got a direct heat come in, and that'll give you thermal discomfort, visual discomfort, plus glare. So what you'll do is you'll internally put the blinds and then not go and open it, and then you'll need the automation. Okay, so because आपको glare आ रहा है, the moment you walk into these new age apartments, you will feel uncomfortable. You will feel uncomfortable, you will feel कि इतना light तो मुझे नहीं चाहिए था. And mostly intuitively we will go and do those heavy curtains and all of that, but the heat has already come into the house. So you've got those air conditioning now, अभी now 5-star खरीदना है ना, energy efficiency करना है हमको. So it is a loop that we are creating. And it is important that we work with design teams, we do policy level intervention on how homes have to be designed with thermal comfort in the picture, and not allow long windows without adequate shading. So if you do long windows, your shading has to be more than 1.2 meters, and those windows also have to be less, not end-to-end glass. Okay, and even in glass, then introduce high performance. So basically we create a problem and then we try to solve for it with technology and then more science, but actually we don't do the building physics. This center is about building physics, and I wish that all developers ended their honeymoon period with daylight and selling homes on the basis of natural light. Okay, natural light has to be designed with a lot of care, and you can't do excess. So it is wall to window ratio, and there are parameters that we should stick to. We should stick to windows as per safety and as per wall to window ratio. So these are my comments. We should end the honeymoon with French windows.
French windows, yes. Thank you so much, Sunita. And just one of the questions again, coming to behavior, right? We were just talking about behavioral aspect, and we have Aradhana ma'am here, who comes from that area of behavioral science. So, ma'am, if you could just share some thoughts of yours in terms of how does behavioral science actually works in this context of lighting?
A very good afternoon to everyone. Thanks for the invite. I head the Symbiosis Center for Behavioral Studies, where we do behavioral studies along with psychology studies. So it's an integration of both the fields in the area of marketing, health, consumer behavior, so on and so forth. Before I start on the main topic of today's discussion, I would bring a different thought. If you look at Bhutan, they are number 1 on the happiness index, and all their policies are governed by one central theme, which is happiness. Okay, so they allow X number of visitors because more than that pollutes their environment. As far as India is concerned, we have a lot of struggles. We are a frugal and a developing economy, and therefore our main thrust remains economy. And if economy is the thrust and the parameter to design, then we are not on the right path. Now we have reached a level where economy is important. It's important for everyone in the world, but more important is this human being. And if we keep the human being in the central, as the central piece, then the context will change. Okay, so which would mean that we would have exactly the light that is required. Not more, not less. Everything is centered around this human being. So all of us, I have research and I can read out some of the quick highlights and the references, that it has an impact on your melatonin, a lot of light exposure, and it affects your sleep, your circadian cycle gets impacted. That is one of the reasons that youngsters, because they are on their laptops, they are in work environments, for longer hours, they start their day late, their entire cycle has gone for a toss, and they are having a lot of mental health issues. And ask me, I represent Symbiosis with lakhs of students, and I can tell you, we have a center called Symbiosis Center for Emotional Well-Being. We started this, Symbiosis started with this center with few therapists, and now 40 therapists are also booked for months together. The amount of mental issues that this generation is facing is humongous, and one of the reasons is sleep, and sleep is dependent on many factors. Obviously, lighting is one of the parameters, not the parameter, but one of the parameters. So if we keep the human being as the central piece, then what policy initiatives? You cannot work after 7. All lights get closed off. Very simple. So no solutions after 7. Yeah, so if we keep the human, then all solutions will come very quickly. It all depends on what is your research objective. So there are issues in terms of the skin. There are skin issues, there are eye issues, there are sleep issues, there are anxiety issues, and I have all literature. If we have time, I can read it, otherwise there is no need to do that. The behavioral aspect that I have come here to share is that from a policy perspective, all policies have to not be given only in terms of economics. Okay? So if we use LED and it reduces the cost, we go for it. No. If it helps the human being, doesn't give him diseases, increases his longevity and efficiency, you're supposed to be at your peak of your performance at a particular time in the day, so light should be sufficient for that. There is a time when you need to slow down and you need a certain light, a cooler, less light, so that the person can slowly get into the sleep mode and have a nice sleep for a healthy human life. So this is the overall context from the policy nudge point of view. You guys are expert, you know what technically is possible, as long as this framework is kept in mind while designing all solutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And happy to connect with anyone who would like to.
Thank you. Ekta, since we have 2 minutes is what sir has told me, you can make your
So
point.
it started with daylight. So I completely and 1000% agree with Sunita. So she mentioned the aspects of residential zone. Somebody somewhere, like she mentioned, it is European standard, right? Somebody somewhere in London invented a glass building. Okay. Now that glass building we have inherited in India or even Dubai or any other these at our end, where we have ample beautiful daylight. Yeah, we made our life more complicated by allowing that daylight, conveying that in one of your statements, that glare from window. Yeah, so you invited the glare with the window by opening that completely. Now you want a shading device. Now you want an AC. Now you want that electricity to run for the AC, which is completely discarded because that is equally an energy. So all of this, and then you blame it on light. How is that fair? Yeah? Then we speak about solar. Now you have solar, I'm sure many of us know that we have solar cookers as well, right? We created solar cookers in the commercial buildings. Yeah? And then we talk about energy saving and efficiency with lighting only, which is again not fair in daylight. And then you say allow daylight. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, sir, last, if you can.
As far as wellness is concerned with respect to lighting, there is one very important aspect which I would like to introduce. We are not following anymore the standard lux level charts. We have adopted a new standard which is EML, which is equivalent melanopic lux levels. And coming to the principal point of lux levels, how the standards were defined for an XYZ lux for a particular activity. Actually, for if I talk about say commercial workspaces, the standards were way back designed in 1978 or 79 by ISNIA, where they adopted a standard of reading ability to read a fifth smudge carbon copy, which means a lesser contrast between the text and the background. So over the years, this has been changed, adopted in a different circumstances, but we still tend to use the same. Erstwhile, I was discussing the same thing with Dr. Barjatia. The national lighting code in that context needs to change, because we no longer work on the papers. Forget about carbon. We don't even read papers anymore. We are working on a backlit skin which is equivalent to 100 lux. So the contrast, by the way, we are reading is much higher. Retinal tissues. So it's not only the lighting in principle. The overall lifestyle that we have adopted is responsible for all not well-being. That's it. Thank you.
Would like to just add one more point to it. When we spoke about wellness, so we have, yes, we do have behavioral traits which affects in terms of lighting. There is one more thing that I'd like to mention here is that when you're using the codes that you mentioned, now one is that who made these codes or wellness standards? From where did they come from? Which lighting expert did they get on board before deciding that you need 2 watts per square feet, or you have only, even if it's a triple height, you still need to have 2 watts per square feet? Who decided that? That is one question, because there is no such, it's not even comparable when you have a triple height and double height to maintain the same standard. You also have, when we say human-centric lighting, everybody would want to go in for a tunable white, etc., and get into diffuse lighting. Now, diffuse lighting is nothing but a first 30% light loss when we say diffuse lighting. Now, even where we are sitting right now, even if you put your camera up and reduce your intensity, you have harmonic distortions even from these lights. So all of these things are going to affect. It's not about just buying fixtures and placing them, it's also about buying quality, whether you have your THD in place, everything that matters.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I think with that I'll just sum up, and I'll start with summing up on the same point, right, which I mentioned, that they are metrics which have evolved over time, but like I said, they need to be tailor-made for the Indian conditions, right? That's exactly like I said, 300 to 3000, I don't know where that came from, like you said, even I don't know who made them, somebody sitting outside India, but we need to really, and I feel that there are organizations who can come together like ISLE and all, who can actually make this sort of change, right? I mean, this is not a written rule. A few years back when this terminology or matrix came in, it was actually 300 to 2000 first. Over the period of time, it went to 3000. So it can even come down to 1000 or 1500, right? Why not, right, in the Indian context? So, and I think taking again Sunita's point, this is where, organizations or research that is happening at Telegram, like she mentioned with Mahindra, they have an entire setup there. So that sort of data is really, rich data, right, that we are going to capture, and that is really going to make all the impact. So, and there are a lot of publication, since she mentioned, on the website there's a lot of publication that you can read with respect to what Terry Mahindra have done on their website. So yes, yeah.
You can find all the guidebooks over there.
Yes, they're all online.
Do give feedback.
Absolutely.
We are open.
They are wonderful reads, right from glare to, I think, the sky range that she was talking about. All that is available on the website. So yes, and of course, behavioral aspect, like we all mentioned, that there is so much of research. So ending with that point, that behavioral aspect and putting all this together, I think what primarily needs to happen is that there needs to be a framework that needs to be designed with respect to post-occupancy evaluation, which is something that I really want to emphasize again, that all these changes finally is going to lead up to what Dinanath was saying regarding data, right? How do we capture all this data to actually make the change that we want to make? And that is only only if you collect real-time post-occupancy data from users, occupants of the buildings where these, these lighting fixtures have been installed, daylight strategies have been installed. Only users can actually give us the feedback, and then that's when we can actually make this change, right? So I think quality and quantity, I think both needs to sort of merge, and with that I think I'll end my discussion.
Thank you, Namrata. There is a one little change, and I'm waiting for our one update guest to join us for 2 minutes. So I have time, so I'm going to comment on same topic for 2 minutes. I was attending one of the conferences on lighting at Delhi, and we met one of the expert professor, Van Bommel from Philips, and his comment was, even by controlling the light in the driver's cabin, we can avoid accidents. So this kind of feature of the light also to be focused, and we can actually get so many things out of it. Another example is earlier time when we moved through a tunnel, and now we are moving through a tunnel. There is a large difference in the lighting, and we feel that comfort. So finally it comes to all designers, and I know that, thank you. We are moving to, so Manisha Madam is with us. Sorry to keep you waiting for 2 minutes. Now we are actually getting an update from the end users and the policy handlers, I will say. Manisha Madam is with us, and she is handling the entire PMC lighting facilities and all those things. I request Manisha Madam to just focus on their thoughts.
Thank you for this committee for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to share our day-to-day problems creating because of this not doing properly designing of the lighting fixtures or anything. Mostly the major complaints what we received from the public is glare because of the LED lighting while driving. That is the main concern. Even somewhere, as someone told before, they are not so much happy with this LED lighting what is there. But from public lighting point of view, it is very much important for public to do the lighting on the street lights. But I want the designer person to don't go for the lighting as a uniform, because the lighting concept on highways or where the vehicular speed is 40, that road should be defined only in SP 72, what we prefer as a standard lighting code, and accordingly through the dialogues everyone prepared what should be the height of the pole, what should be the distance. That is a very standard. So I want the initiatives are more focused or more working on that concept, because see, with the same formula and with the same software they are working on street lights for the roads with the 40 vehicular speeds, even for the bylines where the like our Prabhat Road area or the Bhandarkar Road area where there is a lot of greenery is there. We want the greenery also in our city, the same way the public wants the lighting also on the road. So it's a very hazardous task or the very critical task for as a public body for us to give the satisfaction to the public from both the perspective, like the giving the sufficient lighting on the road as well as preventing the environment on the road, because nowadays there is one more trend is started, doing the lighting on the trees, especially during your Diwalis, during your Christmas, during your New Year Eve. So that is also very harmful for that trees also, and it gives the directly glare to the people, those who are walking on the streets. So that should be means designing for that. Only the roping of that LED strip on the guard means that tree trunk and giving the lighting, or illuminating with that their shops with the facade lighting of major means 500 watt LED strips, and so that complaints also comes to us, especially for this from the public for this lighting. So that more consent should be given for, because people like in Pune city, they want both prevention of the environment is also they want, even the lighting is also want. And the second thing is that lighting should be such sufficient that it should capture your CCTV footage, especially at the night vision. So that means, especially from the police department, it majorly comes to me as a public sector office, you should do the lighting so that the CCTV footage or the CCTV picture should get captured. So that aspect is also very much important for designing the public lighting. Then thirdly, I want to give more consent on designing of your auditoriums. So mostly, majorly auditoriums are these are owned by government agencies. So for that also there is no designing concept for any auditorium lighting, especially for the stage, for the auditorium, for the art gallery. Nothing has been given the focus on that. So it should be worked, because see, especially in the green rooms and everywhere, main complaints comes to me is that they want that typical diva, that lamp, 40 watt lamp bulbs, and they deny whatever the LED lighting over there, because they want that type of the lighting only, because their makeup man can see the makeup with that lighting only. So that they want especially that yellow lighting. So the main designing through our architect, because many times architect don't give the proper focus on the lighting concept, what I observed while working different architects while designing our different buildings, because we designs the different types of the building, like offices are there, hospitals are there, auditoriums are there, even general lighting is there, special lighting is there, some art galleries are there. So the designing or the conceptual part should be there for each and every type of the lighting. It should not be the generalized like the dialogue software. So that should be the more concern what I required in from your people. From this, so I will get the solutions. I think I look after that. It should not be a common designing part for the lighting. That is the main concept for me. Yes.
Well, I just, before you joined our session, we have discussed one initiative which ISLE is proposing, where we would collaborate with institutes, primarily the government organization who are in the implementations of these policies and equipments for the public usage. We would team up with, say, institutes and research centers, or the, I would say, educational institutes, to understand the nature of the requirement of lighting and propose a solution thereby, and implement it through some of the industrial partners of us. So this is an ISLE initiative that we have been proposing. We'll surely reach out with to all of you with in some days, in few days rather, and give you a solution for the required purpose. As with respect to your concern about the glare, I think if you have, say, a design approach towards it, there is something called as a BUG rating, which it's something which I think we should start adopting. BUG is backlight, uplight, and the glare control. So what we need to understand is, more we use profound luminaire systems and more we get multiple aspects of our lifestyle being covered. Like CCTV was not designed when lighting were there. CCTV is a new requirement. So we need to have a lighting solution. It's a reality. We need to make it adaptive. People need lighting. People will need more light. but at the same time we have to reduce the glare as well. We have to make it comfortable. I think it can be solved by the proper design approach, and ISLE will definitely try to address these issues in the coming days.
Pune city as such, as it is a technology city, so I will be very glad to tell you that now we have started using the dimming of individual lighting and everything. That also being the projects has been taken over by PMC, or using the sensors in toilets or in the passages. So in our, especially in our administrative buildings, we have started those initiatives. So we are very keen in using the energy efficiently, as well as with giving the services to public, because our motto is Varam Janaitam Deyam. So that should be the first motto. And simultaneously the second motto will be the saving, surely, but it should give the purpose to the public. That is the main concern for us to get this design part.
Thank you, madam. With your busy schedule, you are there. Really, thank you. With this, we are moving that from the first session to up till now. We are just finding out there is a need for skill development, need for people available for all this. And finally it comes to education. And so our last session, we are going to have lighting education update. And I request our senior most ISLE, rather we will say our, because of him we are running this ISLE. So I request Dr. Barjatia sir to please focus on lighting education.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Pune International Center for giving us an opportunity for interaction with so much learned persons here, and definitely I think it will become an input for ISLE for our future projects. So with that, I welcome everybody for this one. Just a brief. As I said initially, I used to say that light is taken lightly, but I will further go further and say lighting education is also taken lightly. Now here lighting education does not mean a formal education like degree, diploma or something. It's more important is the awareness. Awareness in the public, awareness in the users, awareness for the designers, everybody. What is the right light? Now I think you heard this half day from everybody what type of different technological terms are there. But then we have to understand, we have to bring knowledge on this one. So this is what the role ISL is playing. So this is our body, which is not, as Dr. Saket mentioned, it's not only for the architects, engineers, but everybody who is interested in the subject of lighting. Anybody can join this organization. This is an organization about 38 years old. Our aims and objectives are promoting the art, science and practice of lighting technology, also standardization. Now these two things which I am listening after, I think you must realize from all the speakers and the technical discussion, there are two things. One is the awareness education, and second thing is the standardization. These are the two areas I think there we have to work together with all of you, and of course ISLE can play a leading role along with the PIC for our future projects. Then ISLE we are having activities in so many different areas, starting with exhibitions, competitions, education, courses, standardization and whatnot. There are so many areas which we are working. Our vision, there are three things main which we are working on. That one is the National Lighting Code. Fortunately, I think we got here with us director from BIS. I think I will request him to throw more light on that one, because I don't know how many of you must have heard about the National Lighting Code. NBC everybody talks. On National Lighting Code nobody talks, because I think awareness is not there. Just for the information of all, this first version came in the year 2010. Again, the work was done majority by the ISLE only at that time. But then, as you know, every code has to be reviewed. So again, in 2020 it was reviewed, and then work was given to ISLE somewhere in the year 2018 or so. And we have worked on that one, and again it has been gone to the BIS for the final publishing, but I think still, as far as I know, it has not been gone further for the review. So that is pending, I think,
from BIS we will hear afterwards. Second thing that we are thinking about the National Lighting Center, Center of Excellence, specifically for the MSMEs, where there are three pillars are there. One is training, education, skill, manpower, R&D, research and development, and the technical acuteness. These are the things required. And another important thing which we are thinking is the certification for lighting designers. You know, in our country, of course, now fortunately, there are some knowledgeable persons are there in the field of lighting, because otherwise, I remember about 10 or 15 years back, electrical engineer will say, I know everything about the light, because you are knowing about lux and lumen. So he say, I know about everything about light. But in the US it is not there. If somebody has to practice lighting design, he or she has to pass the lighting design course, which is NC-12 in USA. Now, since we have got a good experts here in this forum here, I think, and with the help of some organizations, we can work out, and then we can start in our country also some sort of a certificate or some exam course that which we define about the lighting designer. So these are the main important issues which we are taking. Another is called skill development. Of course, we are running degree, diploma, certificate courses with the different organizations, which I think I will be throwing light in the subsequent this one. So now, of course, the purpose of lighting education, status and potential. So first thing that why we need a lighting education. There is one thing first, why 5W1H. So one thing, because now LED, everybody now talking about LED, and LED is developing day by day. It's a product market, everything increasing. So there is a need of lighting education, as I say, not only education but awareness among all. Just for the information of all, as on today, incidentally, we do not have any course in the country under lighting education. Especially there is only one university which is running a PG program, Master of, but that is again only in the illumination engineering, not in the lighting, not in the full spectrum of lighting. They are running only illumination in the visible light. Otherwise, there is no other course in the country in the field of lighting. Of course, some of the universities now they started and they are finally doing elective subject in the illumination engineering. So that includes in the Jadavpur University also. Similar cases, the Manipal University, they had also started PG program, but somehow they could not continue it further, so now they rephrase it as a MTech program in energy management, auditing and lighting. So lighting is only one of the capsule, but again they did not find much scope. So that is the situation today. As I mentioned that there are some universities that started in that Bombay, Pune University and other places are also there. They started illumination as one of the subject in their final year engineering. So this is, of course, there is a good indication is there. Then there are some orientation certificate courses on lighting also being done. One, of course, is being done by the ISME itself. Then there is another academy, International Lighting Academy, Mumbai, which is done by Mr. Anil Wali. I think some of you may be aware. Then some other interior design lighting, a number of courses in lighting design, they are being done by the private institutes, but they are not formally or properly designed courses are there. If you see the global scenario also, there is not much, but at least last 15 years or so, a lot of courses are started like LRC USA is there, Fulan Lighting Center China, NC-12 USA, KTH University Sweden, then Lighting Education Trust UK, Australia, Germany. Some of the countries now they started lighting courses, diplomas 1 year and 2 years something like. But the majority of the places they are the part of the architecture programs. So again, I think it's because today also we feel after discussions there is no need of awareness among the architecture about the lighting. So I think we have to think over that and then we can work on that. So why the need of lighting education? One is the, of course, awareness, energy efficient light sources controls. Another important thing, I think some of you mentioned about the pollution due to light. So another which leads to the depletion of natural light sources, pollution due to inefficient light sources. Another important thing is that there is a need of the industry where they need definitely qualified personnel in the different areas, maybe marketing, production, design and whatnot. So they have got a good employment opportunities, so that leads to the socio-economic impact. If you see the role of ICL in the lighting education, you can just see that from 1993 onwards, starting from the course in Jadavpur, it was promoted and supported by ICL. Starting from there, then Manipal, then MIT school, Pune also, of course, this is one of the good things that in MIT Pune, we started first ever industry-oriented technology PG program in lighting technology and energy management in 2007, which went through till 2011, but because of some technical issues with the ICT and all that, that had to be closed down. But still, since we got MIT representative here, Dr. Saket Kholkar, still they want to do something. But as I said, lighting education is lightly, so we would want to take the courses. I remember last year also, there on the requirement, I designed one online course, 1 year course on the lighting education and this one, but then there were no takers on that one. Anyway, we have to think on that one. So then, fortunately, Bharati Vidyapit, they wanted somewhere in 2017 that they wanted to start a lighting capsule in the Remark program, and they have posed ICL and then we have them, and still today they are running that capsule because they found it very useful. So these are some of the things are there. Then during Corona, I am happy to share that during Corona, we started lighting because we were just sitting together, there was no work in this one. At that time, we conceptualized the lighting, the e-certificate course in basics of lighting and illumination. We were expecting that we will get around maybe 20 to 25 participants and we will be giving them around 25 lectures. But to our surprise, only with the email and the WhatsApp, we got 76 participants from all over the world, not only from India. And again, the faculty was there, 63 lectures we give, and faculty were there from all over the world, starting Australia, UK, and of course for India. When they said that means awareness is there, requirement was there. During Corona, I think all were sitting home, so they thought let us use it, and this was a good success. Now we are running a fourth batch of the certificate course, ISLE, online course which is going on. If you are interested, you can definitely join them. Then we also conducted a computer-aided certificate course in lighting design. With that, now we are having ICL student chapters all over the country. So we got around 20 student chapters in engineering and architecture colleges from all over the country, around 1,000 students which are there. And we are ensuring that at least we are giving one lecture, online lecture, we are running in lighting for all such student chapters. So this is our commitment and we are doing that one. Now, incidentally, I think some of you may be aware that in September this year only at MIT we conducted a big event, Prakash 2024. It was an exhibition come conference, very successful. And the outcome also there, the discussion, all the experts were there. Again, outcome was the same, only that we have to have awareness of lighting courses, maybe seminars, conferences, short-term courses, long-term courses, online, offline, or even sector-specific. I remember that when we approached the chairman of the IEEE Pune for this conference, he himself first he said that no, there has to be some course for the architectures in the lighting. Because architecture, electrical engineering, they say that we know enough about the lighting, but then lighting per se today, because of the technology also and because of the LED, lot of things which are there, which are required to be proper education. So I think we can conduct for architects, lighting designers, interior decorators and all that we can think over that one. So we are happy that during our Prakash 2024, a lot of institutes realized the importance, and then we had a MOU we signed with them, SOCM GEM, that is about the green energy movement, the MIDI Lighting Designers Association of India, ISHE, Infra and Focus. So we are moving ahead ICL to impart knowledge in the field of lighting education. It could be program objectives, specific outcomes, objectives to be achieved which are there, so that we can work on that one. ICL works through different state centers, nearby 7 state centers and 4 metros, and then there are 3 local chapters are there. Pune is one of them. So with that we are operating throughout the country. We are closely associated with the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, BIS, Ministry of Power, and of course international organizations like ISNA, Institute of Lighting Engineers, SARC and all that. This is our governing body, of course. And Pune Local Center, we have got fortunately Suri Patil is there, is the chairman. Then Viren Borade sitting by the side of me is the Honorary Treasurer. So these are the members. Then we got a provision of student chapters, minimum requirement that 25 students should be there, and there must be 2 faculty members for life members, so that there is a continuity, because students they will pass out and then there will be nobody. So requirement is at least 2 faculty members also become the member of the ISLE, so the continuity will be there. Fees is very nominal. Compared to any other organization, only 500 rupees for the 5 years for the students. Benefits, of course, they get the lectures, different seminars, factory visits, internship, and all that they can get it. So where there is a vision and patient things fall in place, thank you, and let us together build a sustainable world. Now this is our free pattern, very minimal, you can see that. So I appeal to everybody, those who are not members of the ISLE, to please become a member, and then, all this discussion what we have done today, we can take it further. So with that, welcome to the world of lighting. These are the contact details. We welcome all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, it is, we are at the end of the session. Before having an actual end, I request Dinanath Kholkar, sir.
Can you please just throw light what is the status about the National Lighting Code? NLC.
Thank you. National Lighting Code basically, presently published code is a 2010. 2020, what you are saying, it is under the consideration, it is not yet been published. But presently, this 2010 code, which is already under published, or which is already implemented, has 13 parts which define various aspects regarding the lighting requirements, lighting selections, fixture selections, and everything. So what the Manisha ma'am has told, that the earlier lighting, what she is facing the problems, it may be solved if you go through all these requirements defined there and implemented. Basically what happened, the BIS is formulating the standard, BIS is formulating the codes for the practices. Basically this is the code of practice, which is not a standard which can be implemented through some regulations or otherwise. It is to be implemented through the regulatory bodies or through the implementation bodies or through the local bodies, I can say. So those things need to be addressed by either by the state government or the local bodies. So here the road lighting, it has a separate chapter called as a separate chapter 8. So many things have been defined there. In the hazardous areas, the lighting has been defined. Every aspect has been defined in the lighting codes. So if it is implemented, it is a good thing. As the architects are aware that NBC is there, but still I am sorry to say that in state government, it is not been accepted. Though it is accepted whenever there are some issues legally, but in factual, it has not been accepted. In addition to this, there is a National Electric Codes, which are addressing the many other aspects in addition to the lighting codes. It is not in addition to the light, that's the thing. It is for the other codes, I'm saying, for the electrical aspects. But it is there, so I'm saying that it needs to be implemented, it's to be accepted. It is just formulated by the many experts like the ILSC or other experts, but it is not implemented or not accepted by the other bodies. So this needs to be taken care of. That is the only thing I can say, and I can thank ISLE for their active participation in the standardizations. Thank you.
On behalf of this forum, may I request you to take it up, because sorry to say, please don't take it otherwise. Draft has been given by ISLE 3 years back, revised. Sorry, Desha said you, but please don't take it otherwise, because if you feel that this is an important issue and that we are spending our full time here, everybody, I think it needs to be taken up in high priority. So we request you to take it on behalf of this one, to take it on priority. And we assure you that we will try that, we will ask all the lighting designers to use the National Lighting Code if it is there. Thank you.
I will try that.
Sir, it's already time for revision.
Yeah.
So it's already time for revision.
Okay, thank you all of you.
Sir, can I take 1 minute?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, good evening everyone. I am from COEP Technological University. So everything which is going on is very useful to us and very lot many resources we also come to know. But I just wanted to share our experience. Like few minutes back we were discussing about the public utility and the lighting. So there is a GR government resolution through which we inspect these all installations of the lighting. We do a lot of inspection about the highway lighting, auditorium lighting and the street lighting and the lighting, the sports lighting, everything. But as in a design, as sir mentioned, there is no mention of any particular test procedure which need to be conducted on the field to ensure whether the lighting has been done correctly, the lighting design has been done correctly. It is just mentioned 12 posts, 12 lamps, 12 starters, 1 earthing. So that if we just count these numbers, so whenever the policies are made, my request is that there should be we should be involved from the design stage, and the design should mention the code also. Like there are 8-point methods to see the illumination, 6-point method to check the illumination, so there will not be a blind spot. Then the CRI and all. So it should come in the design properly so that we can test it properly and we can give justice to the public money. That was one point. The other point which I just wanted to mention about our experience about the lighting education, we were teaching the illumination engineering in the utilization of electrical engineering since long. It was a huge big topic where we used to introduce them to the illumination, lux level, CRI, even the temperature, everything. And then suddenly the technology has come. Technology means the LED has come. And then the sources of light, industry people are there on our board of studies, they said remove all these things, put LED. Put LED as only to describe, right? So we put LED because we are the people, we have to listen. And then we put LED, and then after that the industry people, now just I was listening and I understood that there is a gap between understanding the concepts, the fundamentals. So people have forgotten the fundamentals, the students have forgotten the fundamentals, and they're just focusing on the technology, what is available. So there is a gap between engineering and technology, which needs to be bridged, which I could understand from this discussion. So just I wanted to mention these 2 points. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. We are closing, actually we are sailing in the same ship. So I'm totally agreeing with you, and utilization is such a huge subject where trains, locomotives, all utilization is included into that. Thank you. Thanks once again. I'm just asking Dinanath sir for a closing remarks. Hand over to Dinanath sir.
So first of all, this has been a great roundtable, a lot of diverse expertise on the table. We have also a few people who we had invited but they couldn't join. The process, I just wanted to update you on what we will do after this. So obviously the entire session is recorded. It will be edited and made available on the PIC YouTube channel so that you can actually share it with other experts. Based on this, we will come up with a complete detailed transcript, and there is a team which will put together a publication, a joint publication from all the knowledge partners. If there are points that you have missed out, don't be disheartened, you didn't get a chance to provide those inputs. We will circulate the draft and you will have the opportunity to include certain points or even refer us to the right experts to ensure that the document is more complete. So that's the process that we have. And again, as I said, Dr. Mashelkar and Dr. Kholkar were very much happy that we have taken up this particular topic. And I'm sure they will be very happy to invite many of you, especially the designers, to come to the Pune International Center campus, which is coming up. And I shared with some of you all that you can organize one event so that you can give direct feedback. So that is definitely an opportunity. But again, once again, thank you to all of you. And this has been a very good and very fruitful discussion as such. So
now I request Virendra from ISLE to give a vote of thanks.
So thank you one and all who participated in the roundtable today on the topic of sustainable lighting organized by Pune International Center and very well supported by ISLE and then Pune, IEEE Pune chapter and COEP and other organizations as technology partners. We have more than 36 participants today, as rightly said by Dina sir. And I am really glad to see that more than 35% of the participants are women members, or lady members. So congratulate for such a wonderful roundtable, and they have all volunteered, they are all, raised their voice on the various topics. So thank you all of them. I can't name all of them. We all have the list here. And special thanks to Dinanath Kholkar sir, who was, continuously after us to, conclude this kind of lighting dialogue, which is very imperative in today's world. And I'm really thankful to Dr. S.G. Burud, who is the Vice Chancellor, for participating from COEP side. Abhay Vaidya sir, the Director of PIC, and Dr. Saket Kholkar from MIT, and our Treasurer of ISLE Pune Local Center, who very well narrated and very well curated this session. Architect Namrata Dhamankar, Sudhir Patil, our Chairman, Dr. Barzatia sir, Kaustubh Nandurbarkar sir, Dr. Surekha Deshmukh from IEEE, and all the participants. One more announcement I would like to make here, that since Mr. Dinanath sir has invited all of us for the PIC building launch, we are keeping one chat with light from ISLE side, and I would like to invite all of you to be part of this, because this is something where, we have to take it forward. This is just a beginning, and we have seen a lot of experts here from diverse field, and I would like to collaborate ISLE with all these organizations like IEEE, then COEP, then BIS, and a lot of other organizations. So we are open, and of course this is the beginning with PIC also, and we would certainly like to do more such roundtables along with PIC. And yes, Chat with Light, the date will be announced soon through Nupur. And I would like to thank Nupur and all the volunteers from PIC team, under the leadership of Dina sir, Geeta, Pushpendra, Tejas, Yash, Archita. Thank you for your support and contribution to. And I'm really thankful to the cameraman. I don't know his name actually, who covered the entire session very well. What's his name? Zubair. Yeah, thank you, Zubair. He's continuously standing, and I know how painful it is. So thank you once again, and I would like to now request Dina sir to felicitate our today's distinguished chairpersons. Firstly, I would like to call upon Kaustubh Nandurbarkar sir. A small felicitation, a small token of appreciation from PIC side. I think they are getting recorded. Sudhir sir, they are getting recorded, yes. So thank you. Then next I would like to call upon Sudhir Patil, Chairman of ISLE Pune Local Center, and Dina sir to felicitate him. Then the man behind the success story, Mr. Praful Tote sir. He has really achieved 85.4% of savings. I am really keen to keep one session for him under ISLE. Then Dr. Surekha Deshmukh from IEEE. Ma'am, please come on the dais. Next is Architect Namrata Dhamankar ma'am from BNCA as well as ISLE. Dr. Prakash Barzatia, our mentor, guide, source of inspiration, our real Prakash under ISLE. He always keep us motivated, never let us down. Manisha Shekatkar ma'am from Pune Municipal Corporation. Ma'am, we will also would like to associate with PMC and help in designing some standards. Then again, Dr. Saket Kholkar from ISLE and MIT. lastly, myself, Virendra Borade, Secretary, ISL Pune Chapter. Thank you.
So with that, we'll conclude this roundtable. Thank you.
Thank you all of you for your valuable time.